this right eye I couldn't see. That's why I wear sunglasses, because the lights just kill my eyes. Couldn't see in my right eye. Everything was like if I close my left eye, look at my right eye, everything is blurred. The middle, nothing is in focus. Everything's blurred out. So I go to an optometrist. Like, your eyes look totally fine to me. Go, okay. Go to another optometrist. Same thing. Guys look fine. Nothing reacting normal, weird. So at this point, that last optometrist told me, you probably should go have an MRI done. I didn't know what an MRI is. Got on Google back then, basic Google, looked up MRI, had to go to Portland. Went to Portland, got the MRI done, and I remember like yesterday, I came out waiting, and he was like, okay, showing me my brain on the screen, which I thought was super cool. He's like, okay, see, everything looks totally fine. You got some little white spots right here. You might want to keep an eye on those, but nothing to be alarmed about. So I didn't even think about it. I just went on about my business, got some glasses. That's what he recommended. Just get some glasses and you'll be okay. So got glasses, fine. That was for 2010. 2020, I'm getting off an airplane and I could not walk straight. Couldn't keep my balance, and everything was extremely heavy. The bag I carried on the plane, I couldn't carry back off the plane.
Well, welcome, my friend. It's good to see you.
So thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And I wanted to do something a little bit different this time. So because I'm so new at this, I still get the EBGBs. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
just the little nerves.
absolutely,
Just like, being in front of a camera and all that other weird stuff. So I wanted to see if you'd be open to doing a little bit of a breath work technique. Sure. For just maybe 30 seconds to calm those nerves a little bit, and then I'll go into an introduction with you if that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's just close our eyes just for a few seconds. Yeah, we'll sit up a little bit, close our eyes, and just feel those little nerves a little bit as we feel into the body. And we'll take a 4-second breath in through the nose and hold at the top for 7. And then exhale through the mouth for 8. Just thank you. I appreciate that. It always puts me at a calmer state of mind. That altered state of consciousness just calms me down a little bit.
Yeah, it helps shift from going, okay, the drive here, getting dressed, all the stuff, and then when you take a second to be like, okay, I'm in the moment now. And that's what it helps you do.
Yeah, and I can actually, once you build that relationship with your body and the mind, and again, I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
When someone told me that 2 years ago, I was like, what the hell does that mean? That's hippie dippy stuff. I was like, I don't know about this hippie stuff, but man, once I started to get, I would say a relationship with the body, making that mind-body connection, everything started to shift for me. Where I could feel that nervous system a little dysregulated, and then I'd be able to regulate myself. And that's the beauty of being a human being. None of us have this stuff figured out, but we can explore.
We're a faulty product that we're trying to figure out how the instructions as we go day by day. Like, where is the instruction? Well, what happens on day 367,857? Today, oh shit! Today I gotta go and pay bills and figure out how I'm gonna pay them with the economy the way it is.
Right.
Yeah. So every day, that's why breath work for me. Like it helps a lot. I do it because I don't really sleep a lot. Michelle will tell you. She'll be like, he doesn't sleep. Like I can go to sleep easily, but I don't stay asleep.
You don't stay asleep.
No.
I see. And it's you're here because we're going to talk about a couple different things. And one of the things we're going to talk about is multiple sclerosis, which you've been diagnosed with. And we'll get into that here in a little bit. But let's first tell people who you are. Tell us all about Joe, your background, where you come from, who you are, your system of beliefs, if you will. And then just go into a little bit of your story. And we want to talk about a little bit about multiple sclerosis to educate people about what is MS, how it affects you on a day-to-day basis, the treatment schedule for multiple sclerosis, and just what it's like living with MS. And then we'll go into some other stuff.
All right. Y'all ready for this?
We're ready, man.
You ready? All right. Who am I? Shit, I don't know. Every day is different. I wake up and some days I'm, the happy-go-lucky giant, and then some days I wake up and I feel like I'm this tiny little person that is insignificant in the world and just trying to figure it out, and nobody cares. So every day is a little bit different. For me, originally I was born and raised in good old Mobile, Alabama. Yeah, that place. Forrest Gump. Remember Forrest Gump be like, Mobile? That. Yeah, that's where I was born.
He's the most popular person to come out of Alabama, by the way. I just want to throw that out there.
You know who the second probably most popular person is?
Who is it?
And this is alleged, just because we have a last name. I got to do some research. Jamarcus Russell.
Yeah.
Is the second.
Number one draft pick.
Yeah.
How many years in the NFL was he in? 2 or 3? 4, maybe? 4?
2 he may have played.
He got paid though.
He got his money.
Oh my God, he got paid.
Yeah. Phenomenal in college. Watch his college highlights. If you watch his college highlights right now, it looks like they're on fast forward compared to everybody else. And he's a giant. Mm-hmm. So me being 6'4", last name Russell, black, we kind of favor. He's from Pritchard. My family's from Pritchard. Everybody's like, "Is that your cousin?" And I couldn't definitively say no. So a rumor when I was in Oregon was that was my cousin, Jamarcus Russell. Of course, it became a rumor not when he was a success story. After he, was a bust, then they was like, "Oh, that's your cousin."
Is he still considered the biggest bust, or would there be because there's some quarterbacks now that the NFL. Well, let's talk about it. The NFL has declined in terms of its product. The college product has. Yes. I mean, there's a whole uproar in the college. I mean, everything is changing in the football landscape. I'll be honest with you. I'm not as I used to be an avid sports fan, specifically football. NFL was more of my sport of choice. But over the last few years, because the product has, it has worsened, flags every other play, I just don't feel that the quality of the product is there anymore.
No, just like everything else now.
Yeah.
Like you buy a TV and you expect it to break in probably like 3 years.
Right.
It's the same thing with sports. It's like right now, it's interesting, but the longevity of it it's a question. And sports for me, the number one reason I'm not a huge sports fan is because it's impossible to get the games.
Interesting.
You got to look on YouTube, or you got to have a subscription to this service and a subscription to this service. It used to just be on like regular live TV with the rabbit ears. We dating ourselves when we started talking about rabbit ears, but yeah, that's how I grew up with sports, because it was one of those things we knew sports was going to be on Sundays and Mondays. I think the NBA finals back then used to come on like Friday or something. We had a schedule and it was a thing. And now it's like, oh, I don't know when it's going, what time the game is on, unless you go through some other service and they're like, oh, I want to watch the game. Oh, it's not showing in your area. Right. But if you subscribe to Peacock or whatever the app it is, or I don't know how much it is. Last time I looked at my subscriptions, and I worked for the cable company I worked for Comcast, Xfinity for like 6 years, 6-7 years. So I understand, and I saw it coming, and I told everybody that, because when they unveiled their X1 system, the newest, latest, and greatest system, it was based on app-based. And I was like, they're going to change everything, these cable channels that everybody's paying for and complaining about their bill. They're going to switch this over to digital in the app form, and that's what they did. Mm-hmm. Now, your bill... People think, oh, cable was expensive. Back in the day, your cable bill was like $140 a month.
Yeah, something like that. It was somewhat reasonable.
Yeah,
somewhat. Yeah.
Include internet. I mean, you throw all that stuff in, it was like $200 tops for like everything with everything. Now I looked at my app subscription because I have to go through and cancel apps. Like, don't pay for this, pay for this one this month, because that's on TV, and I want to watch that. And this app doesn't have anything going right now. It's crazy. And that's what I believe happened to sports too. That combined with paying these kids.
Yeah, they're paying the kids now in college. Yeah. And I'm not up on the college stuff all that well, but from my understanding, that's the rudimentary understanding is now they can get paid in college.
Yes.
And they also, from what I understand, can use a transfer protocol.
Yes.
And stay in college for quite some time.
Yeah. What was I watching something the other day? The kid was like a 25-year senior. Like,
yeah,
did the mail like 25? I was buying my first house and I was out, and he's still playing college football. These kids are like 18, 19 when they start. This dude, he got grown man strength. That's what happens. When you get older, you get stronger. So
that's true.
He got definitely a grown man strength.
That is true. Fair. There's some truth to that too. That old man strength.
Yes.
Yeah, there is. There's some truth to that stuff.
My stepdad right now is stronger than me. I mean, I have my medical issues, but he's 60. He's from the old school.
He looks great.
Looks great.
Big dude. Yeah.
You met my dad.
Yeah. He looks great. He's a good dude. Yeah.
And he just had to have knee replacement, but you wouldn't know it. He built like a iron truck. I'm like, dude, he moved me from Arizona. He flew to Arizona, packed my house up.
Wow.
In probably 6 hours, my whole house. Garage and everything, and then drove us.
Oh my God.
Across Texas, which, Texas is a
humongous
monster itself.
It's like a country.
Yeah. He used to be a truck driver, and he was like, this is nothing.
Yeah.
Mind you, I got extremely sick on this trip. I think it was because I was, at that time, and we'll get into that part, I was weaning myself off of my MS medication.
Yeah.
And I was going through withdrawals like a drug addict.
Yeah.
Throwing up, couldn't keep my balance, couldn't drive. So he drove me as I threw up out the side of the Penske truck all the way down the freeway. There's my DNA all over Texas. So,
just threw it up all over the place.
All over the place. Threw up in my shoe. I had to throw my shoes away. It was a rough trip, but
nice.
Yeah. That's another story for another day.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Well, so let's talk about a little bit. So you're from Alabama.
Yes.
You lived in Oregon for some time.
Yes.
Let's start there and then go into let's start there and then go into when you started to feel the effects from the multiple sclerosis and when you were diagnosed.
So I left Alabama because pretty much everybody who from the deep south knows there's not much down here. Back then, it definitely was nothing. So my real father, Joseph Russell Sr., got a job for Verizon in Oregon. This is when Verizon first started. And he calls me. My parents had got divorced when I was 6. So at this point, I'm 20? I forgot how old I was. But he's like, hey, you need to come live with me because you are going to either end up dead or in jail. One or the other. That's how Alabama goes. I was like, whatever. Well, I asked him at the time. I was like, hey, what's going on in Oregon? What's up there? Because I don't have a passport to get to Oregon. And he told me, he's like, Joseph, Oregon is in the U.S. I was like, you said it's above California. Nothing above California but Canada. And he was like, no. And that's why I had to get out of the South. So moved to the South with my best friend, Curtis. We moved to the South when I was 21, stayed there until I was 38, 30, yeah. So a long time. And I believe that's in my conspiracy theory from research with MS. That's where it started.
Okay, really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So in 2010, I never wore glasses. I didn't have to wear glasses. I had perfect eyesight. 2010, I wake up one day and I had, in this right eye, I couldn't see. That's why I wear sunglasses, because the lights just kill my eyes. Couldn't see in my right eye. Everything was like if I close my left eye, look at my right eye, everything is blurred. The middle, nothing is in focus. Everything's blurred out. So I go to an optometrist. Like, your eyes look totally fine to me. Go, okay. Go to another optometrist. Same thing. Your eyes look fine. Nothing reacting normal, weird. So at this point, that last optometrist told me, you probably should go have an MRI done. I didn't know what an MRI is. Got on Google back then, basic Google, looked up MRI, had to go to Portland. Went to Portland, got the MRI done. And I remember like yesterday, I came out waiting, and he was like, okay, showing me my brain on the screen, which I thought was super cool. He's like, okay, see, everything looks fine, look totally fine. You got some little white spots right here. You might want to keep an eye on those, but nothing to be alarmed about. So I didn't even think about it. I just went on about my business, got some glasses. That's what he recommended. Just get some glasses and you'll be okay. So got glasses, fine. That was for 2010. In 2020, I'm getting off an airplane and I could not walk straight. Couldn't keep my balance and everything was extremely heavy. The bag I carried on the plane, I couldn't carry back off the plane. I had to have my girlfriend and my best friend with me take the luggage. And I was like, what the happened? I'm thinking maybe, with the flight, something might in their ear, something weird is happening. This was Mardi Gras season in Alabama. So I go to Mardi Gras and I'm walking to the parade and everybody's like, why are you walking like you drunk? And I'm like, I have no idea. I haven't even drank today. Like, it's Mardi Gras. Everybody's drunk. I'm like, okay, this now I'm starting to get a little concerned. Get back to Oregon. And I got, it went through a myriad of, can be this, it could be that, it could be this. One doctor or neurosurgeon actually said, okay, you have DDD, which is degenerative disc disease. And it's pinching on your nerves in your back. That's what's causing you to walk weird. I recommend you have surgery. Do a L4 and L5. I think it's lobotomy is the word, something like that. I'm like, okay. I'll get back to walking, being able to go back to the gym, going to play basketball, everything. You know what I think it is? Because we're raised by men who are very, uptight in the
good point.
Probably in the military, working hard. They had to provide, and that was their image to be a provider, being a authoritarian, and I don't even know if that's a word.
Sure, it is.
Authoritarian in their household. Yeah. You do as I say, maybe not as I do, but you do as I say, and that's who raised us.
Absolutely.
So somewhere, I think that learning, we got curious, like, why? We asked ourselves why. I did the same thing with EMS. Why? To this day, I still ask why. And we'll go into some of psychedelics and the reasons, some of the answers I believe have come to.
Absolutely.
But that's where the EMS started. Was for me, I believe it's in Oregon, because I do remember when I went for a medical checkup once, and he told me, you have no vitamin D in your body. I was like, what do you mean? Nah. He's like, are you from here? I said, no, I'm from the deep south. I'm black. I'm in Oregon. There's no sun. Sun makes vitamin D. So I think that was what led to it over time. My nervous system just kind of freaked out and said, we don't, because with MS, I believe, and I'm not a doctor, it's your own internal system of defense starts attacking the fat around your nervous cells. So my own defense, my nervous, because I haven't had a cold. I went all the way through COVID and without not even a sniffle. It was weird. I went to the Dallas football game. Their first football game when they were at San Diego, when they played was the San Diego Chargers in I think it's LA's new stadium they just built. The first game there, the Dallas played. I was at that game and there was thousands. I've never seen so many people crammed in, and this was right around the tail end of COVID. You have to look it up to check and see exactly when. But I remember looking through that crowd and nobody had a mask on. Coughing, sneezing, drinking, yelling, screaming. It was like nothing was happening. I started getting curious. I was like, so is there really? And I'm on both sides of the fence, because I had my best friend that moved me to Oregon. His grandmother passed from COVID. Mm-hmm. So I was always on is it real? Is it not real? A conspiracy theorist?
Sure.
Should I be scared? No, I can't be scared, because that's what they want. And that's how my mind works. And so when this all went down, this was also when I'm dealing with, this was 2020. I'm dealing with the MS. I thought I had, that's what COVID did to you. I thought it makes your body, your nervous system weird. But no, come to find out, that's what it was. And they didn't diagnose me officially with multiple sclerosis until I believe 2021, when I moved to Arizona. The first neurologist I went to go see, because I got recommended by a friend, go see a neurologist. I went in, I did a test, and within 15 minutes, she looked at me, she was like, you have multiple sclerosis. You need to leave right now. Go to the emergency room. And I was like, I just came in so you can tell me because the Google said I can't have MS. Black people don't get MS. Like young black men don't develop MS. That's for older, middle-aged white women. So, and she looked at me. She was like, "No, you have MS. Go to the emergency room now." And I spent 4 days in the emergency room or in the hospital.
So what age were you when you were first diagnosed with multiple sclerosis?
38.
Okay, 38 years old. And I did a little bit of research, and the target, the normal age range, they say when you first start to experience, if you do have multiple sclerosis, is between the 20 to 40 is the normal age range. And then secondly, it had said that you're right. It was mostly white people that get MS, and mostly women that get MS. And
medical books full of shit.
You hit the lotto, brother.
Yes. And that's what she told me. She's like, "You're like a unicorn." I'm like, yay me.
Right.
Lucky me. Never had anything. Nothing. I never even had surgery before. Like, well, I had the back surgery. We'll go back.
How did the back surgery help you?
Oh, that made it worse.
Right.
That made it worse because now I have scar tissue in my spine, and that's where a lot of my tightness feels. I had to have what they call a spinal tap done in the hospital after they diagnosed me. And the first time they looked at it and they're like, "You have a scar exactly where we need to put this needle at." So they did it once and it didn't go through. So he's like, "I'm sorry, we're gonna have to do it again." So they put the needle in twice, but I have right there in my back of this tiny scar, and that's where they did the surgery, and that's where they tested me, the fluid. Ironically, it comes back. Yep, definitely. I think it was progressive PPMS, something like that. Yeah, primary progressive.
Right, and I wanted to take a moment because I wanted to, of course, this was scheduled for us to have this conversation. And of course, as we're friends and we've known each other for a few months, obviously, I know that you've been diagnosed, number one, with multiple sclerosis, and also battling with multiple sclerosis and living with it. And, it never was, again, you don't realize the impact on things until you meet somebody. And and you see the challenges that they go through just with daily life, like seeing you trying, helping me, and even in my own home, and I greatly appreciated and admired it, and realizing that how much this disease can affect you. So I wanted to bring up some things just for the audience, so they can, first we can articulate exactly what multiple sclerosis is, and then just go into a little bit of the symptoms. And then I didn't realize this either. There were different types.
Yeah.
I never knew that. Yeah. I never knew any of this. I was like, holy smokes.
I didn't either. I was just a regular black dude,
We're learning together, brother.
Go play basketball, football. I never thought about, how do I walk? Right. How does my brain tell my feet to do these things? How do I eat? Luckily, there's in some of my groups, I met people that have problems. They have the MS hugs. It's where their body squeezes their lungs to the point where they can barely breathe. I'm like,
wow.
Because you don't think about it. How do you breathe? Your heart. People who have complications with their heart because the electrodes, you realize your brain, how powerful your brain is to your body.
It's a supercomputer.
It is.
A supercomputer.
And with MS, we got defective connections.
Right. So let me read what this is from Grok, the AI Grok. I love using Grok.
I haven't used Grok. Yeah, I'm still on ChatGPT. I'm old school.
Yeah. ChatGPT is definitely probably a little bit better, but the Grok is definitely improving in terms of its abilities. And Musk created a whole facility to house supercomputers just to support this. It's amazing.
I know that is, but it's scary.
It is very scary, brother. And check this out. Since we're on this topic real quick before I go into multiple sclerosis, but just think about this. They're just showing us the AI they want us to see.
Right.
They're 20, 30, 40 years ahead of us, brother. Imagine the AI they have now. I mean, they have everything figured out.
They already got humans, I'm pretty sure, walking around and you just don't even know it.
100%. 100%.
And if somebody catches a person, they're like, "Oh, that person's kind of weird." Maybe me. They probably think I'm an AI because the way I walk. You know, they'd be like, okay.
It's like that shirt that you wear is like, no, I'm not drunk. I have MS.
Yes. Yeah, I'm trying to throw you off. I'm like, nah.
Okay, so multiple sclerosis is a chronic, often disabling disease that affects the central nervous system, which includes the brain, the spinal cord, and optic nerves. And here are some things, or some symptoms that people will develop initially: fatigue, numbness or tingling in parts of the body, muscle weakness, difficulty with coordination and balance. And I also watched a couple videos before you came over, and you had mentioned, like the first thing you mentioned was exactly what the doctors had said. One of the very first sign is vision. Mm-hmm. And it was vision problems, cognitive changes like memory problems or difficulty concentrating, pain. And then it goes into 4 types. I didn't realize there's 4 different types, and who knows, there might even be more, right?
Yeah.
But relapsing, remitting MS, primary progressive PPMS is what it's called. Secondary progressive initially starts at I won't go into the phases, but and then also the last one was progressive relapsing. And the other thing that I didn't realize as well is that MS, well, again, because I don't live this, so I don't necessarily understand it, nor the complexities of it until you start to do a little research and reading about it. Then you're like, oh, then it kind of puts things in perspective for you. Like, as we spend time together, and I've watched you, like, just walking and struggling, and I've noticed, challenges with, walking and even sometimes, communication. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize that was all part of it. Again, until you really have it yourself or do some really deep dive research, you don't understand the complexities of it.
No. And I mean, and unfortunately, diseases are like that. Unless you're somebody who's really interested in diseases, unless you so happen to have it, or somebody close to you has it, you won't know anything about it.
Right.
And I didn't. I'm like, I did research, I'm like, okay, yeah, that. Oh, not that, but that. Yeah. So it was like, it took a while for me to accept the truth of what it was. It took about. And it's still, so I still have good days and bad days. Like you asked me when we first came in, oh, how do you feel today? I can answer that like, okay, I feel mentally great. Physically, like shit. But it's like, okay, I can't dwell on that. So it's one of those things you have to learn to think differently about things, which we can go into as far as like how it taught me to appreciate life more.
Thank you.
I had to, because I didn't, man. I just got up. I did I'm sure 90% of people who are watching this, you get up, brush your teeth, you get together, you leave the house, you go to work for 8 hours a day, come home, you're tired, you probably watch a little bit of TV. If you got kids, you deal with the kids, go to bed, and go to sleep, and then you get up and you do it again. You do that 5 days a week. And then you celebrate 2 days off to go do, really 1 day. Do what you want to do. And then I was like, we got this shit backwards. And that's when I think that, and I didn't get a chance to learn that until MS took away all my physical attributes, including my mental. So it took away things I think I was poisoning my body with, like being a drug addict and not even knowing I'm a drug addict. I was tearing my body apart. And now I see stuff, and I'm like, when I see people riding a bus who are disabled, or if I see people walking, I went to get my hair cut, and there was a guy in there. I don't try to identify people with whatever's wrong with them, but he dropped $5, and he couldn't bend down to get it. Like he tried to, and he couldn't. And I almost teared up because I knew what he was going through, and I wish people knew that. I think people be a lot nicer to each other.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that, my friend. I appreciate it. And I know that came from the heart. I could feel it when you shared that. And let's go into the pain a little bit. Like, what is, if you can describe how you feel, just like you said, most of us get up and we just take it for granted. Like, hey, I'm going to go get up, brush my teeth. They're going to go for a walk, take the dog for a walk. It's no big deal. You know, it's a natural component for human beings to take things for granted.
Yes.
It's just our health.
Absolutely.
And I think there's a famous quote, I think, it's like, once your health is gone, or you don't realize how important your health is until it's gone, something like that.
Absolutely.
And then once your health is gone, you realize, even as, you know, you break broken arm or whatever, you realize, holy smokes, it's like, man, life is it's a lot more complicated.
Yeah.
You know, I got to rely on people beforehand. I never had to rely on everybody. And now it takes me, you know, 3 times longer to do a simple task that it would usually just take me just a few moments.
And you have to pre-think about everything.
Oh.
So me and Michelle, we get into it a lot because it's almost like you have to predict the future. So if I walk from, let's say, point A to point B, I got to think about how many steps it's going to take me to get there before my back locks up or my nerves give out and I start walking all weird, you know, or concerts. Like if I want to go, because I remind you, I had 30 years plus of good, enjoying life as a healthy black, young, sexually driven, testosterone filled, football, all that, gym.
I'm a man.
I'm a man's man.
American made.
Need somebody ass whoop, you call me.
Yeah, I'm 6'4".
Yeah, you need somebody to help you move? Here's Joe. All that gone in 4 days, because it took about 4 days in the hospital for it to go, oh shit, this is real. There's a nurse coming in every hour, 2 hours to check my sugar levels, and that part was. Hey, shout out to the nurses in Arizona at the hospital I had to stay in, because that's a job that people, again, one of the things you take for advantage of, you take for granted. Oh, if I get sick, I'm going to go to the hospital and somebody take care of me. Well, those people that take care of you are just like us, you know, just like people. They got their own shit going on. So laying in that hospital, I had some cool nurses. I really did. One nurse, she told me you can order food and you can order whatever you want. And I'm like, oh, shit. I think I might have gained a couple pounds in the hospital. I came out looking like a homeless man with facial hair everywhere. I was looking rough, man. Because, like I said, I was a normal guy. Like, and then I come out and I'm like, okay, what do I do now? Like, I had to go through the process of disability, filing for disability. But I don't know about that. Where's the IRS office? Like, nobody even thinks about this. Oh, they have an office? And there's people that work there? Yes. Yeah. And you gotta go stand in line. Oh, and then you might probably need assistance in the meantime, because guess what? Now you can't work and, you know, provide for yourself like you used to. Your little side jobs you used to, that's gone. You can't climb a ladder, your ass will fall.
Right. Yeah. 100%. And I mean, so let's go into how does that. So you have fatigue, but you also have a lot of pain throughout, and you're feeling all these things throughout the body, because essentially, from my rudimentary understanding, the brain is trying to fire, but those signals aren't hitting like they once were.
Yes.
To put it in a layperson's perspective.
I'll show everybody the tremors or the spasm in my calf. In my right calf, it feels like something under your leg is crawling constantly, and it's doing that. Like, what the? And so it's spasm and the weakness and your dexterity. You're not as strong. You know, I try to work out and be like, oh, I can pick that up. Groceries are heavy. I'm like, what is this? So the pain, the constant pain of, like you said, the nerves, because when you fall, you just bang, you hit the ground. You don't think about, oh, your body has to feel that. The nerve have to take that impact in and register in your brain. Well, mine, it registers as like, and it feels like it stops in my spine because it can't make it to the brain. To say, oh, that's pain. So everything is just kind of like, it's kind of hard to say, oh, I can't wear like jeans anymore because of my psoas. Is that what you call them?
Psoas.
Those super sensitive. Like, they're
really
constantly like spaz. And I've tried to do different kind of medications and stretches and everything to kind of loosen them. Like, maybe they're relaxed, because from what I've read, I've seen, and I feel, because I always ask people, like, is you like right in your groin where your legs connect to your body? Just like tight as a rubber band. You can feel it. It's like spaz. And then my glutes, I guess, are still not working correctly. So now I walk with a limp. So your whole body is off kilter because your nervous system controls everything.
Right.
Everything.
The nervous system runs you.
Yeah.
People don't. I mean, we think about our mind. Well,
I wish you could see it. I would on the outside.
Oh, I know, right? Have you ever seen like pictures of the vagus nerve? I believe from off memory, it comes down. It attaches. It comes from here and attaches all the way down. Yeah, to every piece of every organ is attached, and there's bilateral communication from the vagus nerve to the gut to the heart, all throughout. And it's like, holy smoke, this is amazing.
It actually is. Like, it's unfortunate as it is that I do have MS. I look into things now, like look into the brain, the nerves. Like I always have cold chills. I don't give a shit how warm it is. I'll be sitting there and I'll just start shaking. And it's, at first it was, embarrassing for one. You should be sitting there and it's like, what's that? And I would notice at times people would like look around like, what the heck just happened? I'm like, I thought that was just something that everybody had, like cold chill run down your spine. Like, but then I noticed, like, I'm having them all the time. Mm-hmm. And I did some research, and that's one of them. Whatever nerves run down the back of your head through your spine. One's on your face. So I sometimes feel like I have like lightning. Feels like lightning, how it strikes and she's spread out. That's how it feels when you have the nerves firing.
Like a tingling sensation going all the way down. And then you have muscle spasms, fatigue, weakness.
Have to take naps.
Yeah, weakness. And then from a mental perspective, you're not where you don't, and I'm just guessing, you're not where it's just misfiring a little bit.
I get overstimulated very easy.
Overstimulated very easy.
Like I've spent, I don't know how many, probably hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars on headphones. They have to be like AirPods. No disrespect to AirPod, but I can't do it. They fall out. I've lost 4 pair. I had 1 pair eaten by Titan, my dog.
Yeah, they're famous for that. The dogs love AirPods, and they're expensive.
Back then even they were like $200. I'm like, got to buy another pair of AirPods, but my hands shake. So that was out. So but it's whenever I'm in a room and this might be because of the MS, but I feel people's energy a lot more now, and I hear a lot better. So I pick up on every little sound.
Interesting. So you feel people's energy. I wonder if this is the way of the body or maybe even the soul. Mm-hmm. Protecting you and being able to understand and read other people's energies, because now maybe the 5 original senses are not as strong maybe as they used to be. So that's added potentially a 6th sense where you're able to feel, and not everyone can feel energy.
And it's weird. Like I can be in a room with someone and I've gone back and I've kind of seen like how I interact. And you probably even know this story where I'm going. But I've seen how my body will kind of position itself, and I can feel I can feel people before they enter a room. Like it seems like my ears get kind of like you're on an airplane, how your ears feel clogged. And before I actually hear you physically like tapping, I can feel you. It's the weirdest superpower that don't do shit.
I wonder, and it's one of those things that it's inexplainable. It's like, where does this come from?
Yeah.
Is it, maybe it's the pineal gland. Maybe it's that. Maybe that kind of kicked on and sparked a little bit. And that is in such a unique place. It's in the center of the brain.
Your man's eye.
Yeah, and it's not in the left hemisphere or the right. It's right in the middle, and it's shaped like a pine cone. That's what the pineal gland looks like. But here's what's even stranger. I don't know if it's stranger, but this is I don't know. I wouldn't call this a conspiracy theory. I would say this is a very interesting part of the pineal gland and the pine cone kind of reference, whatever that means. But the pineal gland, I think, it's for light. It provides, I believe, melatonin as well, produces melatonin, and helps you adjust night and day. I think we don't fully understand, scientists fully don't understand what the brain, we're learning so much about it. But here's an interesting fact. Let me make sure I get this right. The largest statue in the Vatican, guess what it is?
No.
A pine cone.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
Isn't that interesting? So it's almost, who knows if the Roman Church knows something we don't.
Right.
So there's something about that pineal gland and the pine cone kind of reference. Who knows? But it is interesting.
And it is, especially because I was, like I said, a lot of the hippie, mumbo jumbo, spiritual, weird psychedelics and THC, all that stuff. I'm old school Alabama, man.
Mm-hmm.
Born in 83. I'm an 80s baby, 90s kid.
Yeah.
So when I moved out to Oregon, it was totally different. For one, my best friend that moved out there with me to California, from Alabama, Curtis, first thing he asked me, like, what's out there, man? Because I told my dad I wasn't moving anywhere without my best friend because I didn't know anybody out there. And he told me it's rainy all the time and there's a lot of white people. That's exactly what he told me. I was like, okay, well, I'll tell Curtis. Told Curtis, hey, man, he says it rains a lot. It's a lot of white people. Curtis sat there on the porch and looked off in the distance, just like in a movie, and looks at me and goes, I've always wanted to fuck a white woman. I was like, oh my God. And he moved. He's still there. Like right now, if he hears this, I'm going to be like, he's going to start laughing because he knows the story is true. I don't tell fake stories because I smoke too much weed to remember them. Mm-hmm. So all my stories are true stories.
I believe it.
That's why I'm in a relationship for so long, man. I can't lie. I can't lie to my girl. Be like, hey, I was saying, no, you wasn't. I wasn't. You high? Yeah, I ain't gonna see. So it kind of works out, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So let's go into multiple sclerosis. You're having the ailments. You're feeling it. You're living with it. You've been diagnosed that you have it.
Yes.
And your world has changed dramatically.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yep.
Absolutely, just like that. And so now you can't really work. You struggle to walk. Is that fair?
Yes.
Yeah. And mental cognitive ability is up and down.
Yes.
And one of the questions I was going to ask you, and I know you kind of go into a little bit of phases, right? Where sometimes it's okay, and then you might have I guess what would be like, maybe what's the proper term? Maybe it'll ignite, or is it always a steady? Where do you have some days where it's a little bit more intense? I guess that's the best way to put it.
Got you. Well, it's steady. It's a constant pain. Like right now, I'm just used to the pain to the point where I'm usually medicated, so I don't feel it as much. But if I push myself, let's say if I'm at the art salon and we got to paint, do a lot of painting, up and down work, or a lot of thinking. Thinking to even cause it. My body will actually like lock up to where I've had this happen where I, didn't listen to my body. I was like, I'm a man. I got to go mow the yard. I'm going to go mow this yard. So I'm mowing there. I feel a little pain in my leg. Okay. Pushing it. My back starting to tighten up. All right. I still can do it. I'm dragging my leg behind me. So my nervous system was steadily shut down till it goes, you're done. And then I'm just done. Like I'm just locked up on the ground. And that's where I don't want to get to. And that's where I have to stop and just rest until it goes back to normal pain.
A normal state. And then when you say you go down, what does that mean? That you are physically not able to move?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
It's that debilitating.
Yeah, I went to the beach and pushing it, going, having a good time. I don't care. And that's my part of the disease I'm working with as a man. Telling your body, okay, that's enough now. We had a beach, going to the beach. It was a full moon. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna have a good time. I'm gonna walk and we're gonna walk down the beach and, be romantic. And the MS don't give a shit about that. It's like, all right, your legs are rocking. Okay, you still pushing it. You still dragging. You still. And it's like, shit. Ain't walking a straight line. And then when it seizes up and locks, I have to just lay there until my nerves kind of relax themselves a little bit.
And let's talk about, so the nerves relax a little bit. You mentioned a little bit about medication earlier. What is the medication, and you said that you weren't taking it really anymore. What did it do for you? The pros, cons, did it help? Did it not help? What are your thoughts on that?
None of it helped.
None of it helped.
Compared to how I am now. Like before the medication, after medication, well, no, it's just the medication I was taking is because a doctor said, "Hey, take this 3 times a day," and I did. Okay, I'm taking all these pills 3 times a day, and injections also. Was taking injections every other day.
How many pills did they have? What is the normal typical regimen for somebody who's got MS?
Well, what I had duloxetine. That was a antidepressant, anti-anxiety. I took it was a baclofen. I think I took baclofen, which was some kind of nerve relaxant, and then also I had injections I would have to do. Rebuff is an
Wow.
injection, and I would do that every 3 days.
And what was it? And so, what is the purpose of the medication? Just to try to get your nervous system to calm
That's what I
down?
thought. I thought
Right.
it was like, hey, I just want physical pain relief, and I'm like, okay, why am I taking this? It's for MS. That's what they have always just said. It's for MS. It's to help with the MS. I'm like, well, from what I understand, once you have MS, it doesn't go away.
Right. That's what I was going to
So
ask.
I'm just asking for pain relief, or is it to stop the progression, from the lesions from getting larger?
But they don't even know what causes it.
That they don't know what causes
They
it.
don't, and that's what. Yeah. So I did again. I was doing some digging just to try to learn more about it. They don't know what causes it,
No.
and you know, we got to mention this. And again, I don't know, but we take an awful lot of vaccines.
Could be.
Holy cow! And even back in our day when we were growing up,
Yep.
now they take 10 tons more now. But Alzheimer's, or not, everything has increased, and so diets, vaccines, who knows? But why not ask that question? Like, we take all these vaccines, some of them which really don't even work. Let's just be honest. And so, what's the purpose of these vaccines if it doesn't work?
I don't know. What happened to chicken pox?
Yeah.
I was like, what happened to like? I remember being a kid, and you got chicken pox, and like I asked my cousin about it. I'm like, dude, whatever happened to chicken pox?
They have a vaccine for it.
But when was it administered to everybody?
It was administered. I don't know. It's been a while since I've been. I've had some toddlers, but I don't know if you have to take if it's part of the regiment now. But I do know that the regiment now, and there's so many. There's 60 some shots that you're gonna take. I mean, this can't be normal.
No.
I'm just like, holy smokes.
I went down a rabbit hole also as far as like, where is MS predominantly? Where do people predominantly have it? Because I watched a lot of travel channels, and I don't see people in the Philippines like hobbling around, and do they keep them away from the camera? Or I don't see very many people with like needing apparatuses to actually get around. Like you might see somebody who's elderly with a cane, but I don't see anybody like my age walking around with a cane. But I have to.
I wonder if there was some data in terms of countries that were not part of the Western part of the world that we could be able to give an analysis on whether their multiple sclerosis data is just as much as ours in terms of comparison. My guess would be that it's probably not. I mean, the American diet has to have a huge part of this as well. But, I would question the diet. I would question all the shots that we take, vaccines that we take. I think all of those are important. But we live in a society today that you can barely ask those questions because you'll be shunned a conspiracy theorist if you ask questions about vaccines.
It's not about, well, it's okay. Feel how you will about the shots for whatever.
Yeah.
But it's the food. Like, I'm right. Me and Michelle found she's a juicer. I can't remember her name. It's blanking me right now. But she's, hopefully we can get her into the shop next to us. And she just makes all herbal juices with like sea moss and, natural apple. There's no preservative, no artificial sugars, anything. And truth be told, since I started drinking it, I like this stuff more than like the soda. Like I don't even want soda anymore. And it's one of the things I'm like, is it our diet? Because I was raised on an American diet. I'm not obese by any means, but
yeah. So there are some talks about diet helping with multiple sclerosis. The carnivore diet is supposed to be very good for individuals with carnivore, minimizing those carbs, focusing on protein, veggies, and a little bit of fruit. But I do know there is a doctor who is helping people with MS and putting them on the carnivore diet, and they have done better. I think it's Sean Baker is his name. Dr. Sean Baker, I think is his name. So that has been found to be extremely beneficial, and and again, it's the processed foods and the ultra processed foods. They are recreational drugs. They are addictive. They've been designed to be addictive, and Americans are the ones that are paying the price. And the bottom line is this, is that if you're doing any shopping in between the aisles, all of that is dog food. All of it. It's just it's human dog food.
And the thing is, man, that dog food ain't even good for dogs. Our dogs, we cook all their food.
Same. Yep.
People think we're crazy. Oh, how you gonna feed them that? We feed them chicken, sweet potatoes, green beans, I believe she puts in there. Just like real food. Because we thought about it, I'm like, why would I want to feed? If my dog is, because I don't have kids, as I was telling people at the break, I'm Uncle Joe. I don't have kids, so why would I feed my dog food? Oh, the cost. I think when people factor in the cost, when you think about it as, it's going to be expensive before you even do anything else, you're not going to do it. You fucked up. I want my dog to live as long as it possibly can. So sure. I don't eat that shit. So why would I feed it to him?
Right. And just to give you just a testament to that too is, I feed my dogs real food, as you know.
Yeah.
And I took him to go get a coffee in the morning. Sometimes I'll go get a coffee and we'll visit a local coffee spot here.
Yeah.
And they love the girls. They love the dogs. And they give me a couple biscuits for them. The girls want it.
Yes.
I give it to them. Guess what happens?
Diarrhea.
They throw up.
Oh.
They throw that biscuit up within about an hour or 2 hours. It's just a testament to what is being fed, not only to our dogs, but to us as well. And it's been legalized. I mean, don't get me down the rabbit hole, but like, holy cow, the FDA is it is a joke. It's a pay to play scheme.
I got suspicious when I went to the doctor and he was like, okay, you need to be on this medication, this medication, this medication, this medication, this therapy. He never asked me about diet. He never asked me about, as long as I guess, he never asked me about, and I was curious. I'm like, because I look like I'm in shape. Okay, am I in shape? He didn't care. They never asked you about, what are you actually consuming in your machine?
Right, exactly. And so Dr. Callie Means, I always get it mixed up. It's one of those. Dr. Callie Means or Casey Means. It's the female one. She went to Stanford to become a surgeon, I believe. I can't remember what her specific practice was. But anyways, at the ninth, right before she's getting ready to graduate, I think the last year of her surgical residency, she turned in her scalpel and said, I'm done. There's no way I can be part of this. This is all a big scam, essentially.
I can see that.
And this is from Stanford. I mean, she spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to get this, to become a surgeon, and then just was like, this is all bullshit. But you know how much nutrition training she received in that? In her time at Stanford? Zero.
No.
Zero. It's about pills and surgeries. That's all they're pushing. And Gooby and Doobie on YouTube, his name, he was a doctor, a back surgeon doctor. I don't know what the proper term is, but he went to MIT for his undergrad, went to Duke University for his medical, became a surgeon, I think neurological surgeon, I think for back and spine.
I sure went to see him.
And then worked 10, 15 years in his practice, realized that he was doing back surgeries for years, gained 40 pounds, went into depression because he realized that he spent his entire adulthood learning something that wasn't helping anyone.
Yeah.
And he said, he would perform back surgeries and then they'd be okay for 3-4 months and they'd be right back into the same situation they were in. And so he gave it up. He threw it away. And now he's on YouTube. Gooby and Doobie is his name. Gooby and Doobie.
And the thing with the back surgery is, of course, you always, in your mind as just a person, you figure, well, the first one might not have worked. I actually had way back when I was like, okay, I healed up, got the back, they put a drainage tube and all that shit. It's gross. I'm like, okay, I'm healed up. Take a couple weeks. And the pain, the radiating pain down my legs didn't go away. I'm like, that's worse. This hurt. Now I'm stiff. I'm like, what the hell?
It's worse.
Went back to the doctor, and she told me, and I just with a straight face, Michelle is my witness. Maybe we missed something. I was like, what? Maybe we need to shave more off. Maybe we need to have a second back surgery. And at this point, we left Oregon. We're done. And I was like, but I'm thinking, if it will help this fucking pain, man, I'm willing to do anything. I told Michelle, like, jokingly, if they come out with a cure for MS and it gets rid of my pain, I go right back to normal. But all you got to do is kick a small baby in the face. I'm field goal punting that fucking child, dude. I'm 50 yards to the face. But yeah, it's one of those things as far as surgery to the layman, to a person. You assume the doctors got the answer.
Right. We've been indoctrinated to believe that.
Yeah.
Yes, we have been indoctrinated to believe that this medical care system that we have grown up loving and trusting is here for our best interest, and it's a fallacy. It
Absolutely.
is a complete fallacy. And doctors will tell you off the record that, and you and I have had this conversation, but I want to really pinpoint this because I feel like, one of the reasons I'm doing this podcast is to share information and knowledge and to let people know that do not put doctors and the healthcare system on a pedestal. And I think most people are waking up to that now.
You see what old Luigi did? Like, that's the financial aspect of it.
Sure.
When it happened, everybody's like, you might be by yourself. I bet you kind of, I'm in the medical system. Trust me. What he did, and if it's my mom or even me, if they were to do the same thing, somebody's going to want vengeance like Batman.
Sure. And I'm on the side with Bill Burr on this. I'm not sure if you know who Bill Burr is.
Oh, yeah. Bill Burr.
Yeah, and I agree with Bill Burr. Hey, no one wants violence. And, it's sad that this man and his family have to deal with his passing. But the bottom line is this. They had a 32%, what was it, the reduction or cancellation rate or what? Denial rate. 32% denial rate. And in addition to that, they purchased faulty AI so they could deny claims that they knew.
Damn.
They knew the AI was fraudulent and was automatically denying claims. Think about that.
Yeah, because it's more money in their pocket.
Right. So, but here's the separation. Wow. But here's the crazy part, right? You have two separate industries that are doing this. Well, there's multiple industries that are corrupt as hell. Number one is the medical industry. Obviously, what you have gone through, what Gooby and Doobie has said, what Dr. Callie Means has said as well. It's all corrupt. It's all about profit. They don't care anything about the people. Not all doctors are like that, but there's a good majority of the healthcare system are like that.
Yeah.
But so then check this out. But even worse is the insurance industry.
Oh, yeah.
Which is just as bad. So you've got two separate entities that are just milking commoners, the laypersons like us, for as much as they can. And it's always going to be. And I had a friend who just had cancer, who had surgery for cancer, had some breast cancer. Guess what they told her? We think we missed something. You just exactly what you just said. Yeah. I'm not making this up. This just happened, and you and I did not have.
I saw your face when I saw it. I'm like, oh shit.
You and I did not have this conversation.
No.
Dude. Wake up, America. These are your doctors.
I thought that was some bullshit.
They care nothing about you. They want you back on the table at $30,000 an hour. Yes, that's how much it takes for an operation, roughly, depending on where you're at. $30,000. That's all they want, and just keep that money machine rolling. It is disgusting, appalling. It's not with what this country was built on and what this country was founded upon. And we're in some deep shit, brother.
I kind of think it's like even morally, because it's like you know what you're doing. Of course, you got a fucking Maybach or Lambo, whatever. You live in the rich life financially. You got all the money in the world, but that's why this whole the thing, like you said, I don't wish violence upon anybody. I have to learn to let go of emotions like that because with MS you feel everything.
Sure.
I had to learn all these people. I'm like, man, fuck that dude, or you know what, fuck him. I had to let that anger go because it physically hurts. I'm like, okay, all right. So with the whole Luigi thing, I'm like, I don't condone violence, but that kind of behavior, it's almost to the point like with the people, it's like you're not responding to anything else. We can petition in the streets.
Nothing's
Same
changing.
thing with the whole like Black Lives Matter. We can march around with signs and protest all we want, but until something really like drastic measures call for drastic actions.
We need accountability. We need real change in America, and America is headed down the wrong path and has been for decades.
Yep.
And we're at a crossing roads right now. I mean, where we are, I will say, in my opinion, we're a declining superpower. You can take a look and can see that America is just declining everywhere you go.
Yeah,
the products are declining. Think about this: we live in a world today where who do you think the number one automaker is in the world?
Toyota.
You would think that, right?
Yeah.
Or an American car, right? No,
not anymore. No,
it's China.
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 Oh yeah.
China's got the number one automaker in the world.
Yeah.
And we used to be.
We did. Yeah.
Yeah. This is where it
Detroit.
shows you that things are, things are changing in America, and they have been. But just to kind of wrap things up in terms of that from an economic perspective, just a declining empire. But we used to be number one in cars. We're not that anymore. We used to be, Boeing used to be like, hey, Boeing was the shit. Like, was it McDonnell Douglas, Boeing? Yeah. Those are all they're Boeing's parts, planes falling out of the sky, parts. So now
sports
as well. Everything's in decline. Culture, society in general is all in decline. It's like, where are we going from here? Where are we going from now? And then, and just to kind of put things in perspective, so going back to the Boeing thing, Boeing used to be it. And now it's a declining power. So now you have Airbus, who's taken over as like the number one.
Yeah.
And Boeing's falling apart. So guess who's coming in behind Boeing? A Chinese company.
Absolutely.
And because they don't have the safety issues that America has, and you're watching
and you watch China
fall apart.
In the 90s, China was a third world country, and we watched them build up. It's almost like me and you, we've talked about escaping the matrix. And
escape the matrix.
Once you get those special glasses, I think it was Dick Gregory was the comedian. He's talking about when you get blessed with the glasses to see the world as it is, it's a blessing and a fucking curse. Because there's so much stuff I see and I'm like, this can't be real. It's almost like I'm watching the fall of Rome as we live through it. And I'm 42. Well, I'll be 42 in April. So it's like, holy crap, I remember the good old days, as they say, like our parents do. Oh, the good old days back when soda was a nickel.
Yeah.
But life was like, it wasn't, maybe we weren't exposed to all the harshness that the world has now. But it seems like life was better because we didn't know. Maybe we're naive to the world. But America?
Yeah, life was way better back in the 90s. Life was simpler. And also, I think it all boils...
Super Soakers? Oh,
yeah. Man. The 90s was the shit. You had the Dallas Cowboys, the Chicago Bulls. The 90s was definitely the heyday for America, I feel. And it's been a decline since, I think.
I'm saddened by that. I don't have anything from the 90s. I have the only thing I really have from the early two. I have LeBron James rookie card,
sure.
I had him minted and everything. But the 90s, do I have anything? Okay, these shoes I got on right now, I got them in honor of my uncle who passed. We found a picture of him, and I'm a shoe fanatic. I always love shoes. The 95 Air Max are my favorite. Like, I've always worn them. And I finally found some on eBay, and I had them delivered. I ordered them, bought them. They weren't in the best condition, so I had them restored. But the 90s, man.
90s was great. The 90s was peak America, I feel.
I think so.
And we're going through a transformation now. So
You know how they say everything must fall? I'm like,
everything must fall.
Are we living through the fall?
We are living through the fall. I firmly believe that. A lot of people don't want to talk about it. Like, oh, Armando, you're being a little too negative. No. Let's be real for a moment.
Yeah, it's not negative. It's real.
It's real.
It's sad.
It's sad. But here's what I think it all boils down to. Well, first of all, every empire falls. And in addition to that, the monetary policy is everything for us. The dollar is everything for us.
Yes,
and when you start to debase and devalue the dollar, which they've been doing since 1971,
right?
Which is the reason why we are struggling now. That's what's changed. There's been no budget. They've been printing billions, now trillions of dollars, and it doesn't cost the government per se, the 1%, anything. No. It's free money for them. Who it costs is the laypersons, the other 99%. As our dollar is being devalued, everything else goes up. And if you're not keeping pace with inflation, life becomes harder. For example, I was speaking to a realtor, and she was telling me that they're even starting to build some homes with like a Gen Z room because the kids are never leaving.
No, they can't afford it.
And
There's no way.
And so why can our children, right? And I tell you, these younger generations are in a very, very tough predicament. There's never been a harder time to make it. But why?
It's terrifying.
But why? Because the government has no budget and prints, and the people are the ones who pay the price. And nothing will change. I don't care if it's President Trump. I don't care. I don't care who it is. Nothing is going to change until they fix the currency system. And guess what? They can't. All they can do is keep printing money. And as they keep printing money, our value gets debased further and further and further. And people will continue to suffer until it finally collapse.
Yeah, it's like a spreading cancer.
Absolutely.
It's like you keep cutting these pieces off, but you're not addressing the underlying issue. You have cancer cells in your body. You keep cutting the piece off here. You cut a toe, you cut a leg, you cut a thigh, you cut an arm. Eventually, you won't have nothing else to cut off.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough position for
it is
for all of us. It's definitely interesting times.
Bro, I never thought in my age generation, I never thought in my life I'd be like, I need to put money into minerals and metals and shit because shit about to hit the fan.
Yeah.
There's no reason $100 feels like $10 now.
Our dollar has been devalued to 3 cents of its worth. From 100 cents has now been devalued to 3 cents, and it's being devalued daily. And they're just sending money overseas. Yeah. And by the way, when they say they're sending money overseas, they're not really sending it overseas. They are to some extent, but you know who they're funding? The military-industrial complex. That's what's going on. I mean, it's bananas, brother. It is bananas what is going on in this world. I mean, you get on X, you're like, holy cow, I got to get off of X. It's chaos.
You never seen Uncle Sam with a saying that says, we'll work for food.
I know. Man.
Never seen a politician in the U suit.
Yeah, so it's bananas.
It's yeah. And then, like I said, you just look out your window, man. Look at your, that's why we want to talk about with MS. My belief system, religion has changed.
Sure, let's talk
because
about it.
I was, of course, I was born in Alabama, the Baptist belt. You go to church every Sunday, if not 3 times a week. Sunday,
you better be a good Christian.
Better be a good Christian. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Praise Him. Pray. Don't look at what the pastor's doing. The pastor got a brand new Cadillac, but don't look at that.
Yeah.
You just this plate come around, the little money your mama gave you for cutting the grass. You put your 10%. So put 10% in. Why? Because the church need money. Okay. I was born into that. And then I left, the deep south and went to the West Coast and got introduced to, well, they're not very religious out there. I got introduced to, marijuana and cannabis. And I don't want to call it marijuana because that's a made up name, but cannabis and, some psilocybin and nature. You know what I'm saying? Like some weird hippie shit. Like I remember I went camping for the first time, like real camping. I fucking cried like a baby.
Really?
Cried.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember sitting by the tent and I'm just looking at the mountains and the stars and there was I think it was a shooting star and I was just sitting there and I'm like, this is real. You can go out there and look at that. That ain't no movie. I'm like, all right, okay. Well, there's more to this shit than what I've been taught. They ain't teach us about nature. They ain't teach us about trees. They ain't teach us about groundwork or breath work. In school, they taught us. Christopher Columbus came over. He found America. The Indians, I guess, they just decided they didn't want to stay here no more. So they just, went somewhere. And
we rounded them up.
Yeah, and that's why we were taught, Thanksgiving, Charlie Brown, Christmas tree.
Yeah.
America's great, man. I got T-shirts, pictures with T-shirts, American flags, 4th of July. And very proud American. And to live to be 42, and you're like, bro, I don't even want to. Like, now, if you have too many American flags, that shit's racist. Like, you got to have you could have one, maybe two. But if you got multiple American flags on you or on your house, we going to assume you with them, And by them, we ain't going to say who. we going to just say the bad people. We with them. Which is sad because we want to be American patriots as black people. We want to be like America the Great. But at the same time, black folks we try not to lie. Unfortunately, we tell the truth too much. America ain't that great. I travel. It used to be I go to Mexico, I felt like big dick boss. I'm American. Got American money. I went to Mexico for my 40th. And they kind of looked down at us, man. After all the stuff, they got the news. They got the internet too. They got social media. So when you walk into a room looking American, of course I'm 6'4" and black. Yeah, like you ain't from around here. Now I'm from America. They look at you different now.
Yes, sir.
They treat you different now. Like we ain't got that pool no more. Like,
not anymore.
What happened?
It's collapsing. The empire is in decline from a geopolitical standpoint. We've got a plethora of issues, and we're bankrupt.
Yeah.
We're bankrupt. Yeah. And
so folks don't feel bad for being broke. Shit, the country broke. They sent me a bill now. I didn't look at it. Like, welcome to the club, nigga. So, hey, you ain't finna stress me out, man. Like, I pay what I can pay, when I can pay it, and when I can't.
Sure.
I made some T-shirts that says that. Actually, it's like sativa for the things I can do, indica for the things I can't do anything about.
I get it. So let's talk about how. So you had mentioned the medication was not helping you at all.
No.
In terms of MS, but
it made me constipated. That's one thing it did do.
Lots of side effects. What other kind of side effects did you have from that?
I think it fucked with my wiener.
Say it one more time.
I think it messed with my wiener.
It messed with your wiener. That's never good.
It's never good. Like, hey, me and him. Hey, that was my first toy. We ride together. We die together. So you notice when something's different. I thought it was just, I'm getting older.
Yeah, especially at that age.
Yeah.
That's,
30.
38 still pretty young. Yeah. But a lot of that is, well, for sure. MS, they talk about that.
Yes.
That's one of the things that they mention is that.
Talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was affecting you. So you got rid of, or you just said, I'm not digging this stuff anymore. And then you were still having the pain.
Absolutely.
Still going through, still struggling, and then you decided to try.
I self-medicate.
Cannabis.
I tried cannabis. I'm we're in the process now. I'm going to. My diet definitely has changed from, I used to eat fast food, whatever's quick.
Sure.
I get hungry, I'm going to eat this, Popeyes, or whatever. I'm hungry. To where now I have to be a little bit more weary of what I eat. If nothing else, I'm getting older. I want to, preserve this thing, what I got. Even though it's defective, I want to be here, for the people I love until they gone, and then I'm good. I'm ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the medication, man, it made me constipated for one, taking all these pills. I always felt bloated. I'm skinny. I'm like, what the hell? Why do I feel bloated? The pills, and also it's just when I started thinking about why am I putting this synthetic stuff in my body? Because somebody told me to. And I'm like, I don't like for people to tell me what to do all the time. Like, if you're trying to help me, I can usually tell. But at the doctors, I don't feel like they are that. They can smile and say, yeah, the right things, but they don't feel like they're really help you. They're there to tell you the things that you want to hear. And we have the pill or we have the procedure. We can fix it. And if it doesn't work, which usually it doesn't, well, we got something else that can possibly do it or fix it. It's like the new iPhones. Like, bro, y'all just keep doing it, man. It's the same thing. All right, I'm going to buy another one. That's what we've come to as far as medical. We don't expect better. You know what is weird? When's the last time you heard them like actually curing something? So like,
it's a customer lost.
Like we've been working on AIDS and HIV for like ever, man. They should have a pill now. You can go down and be like, oh man, I was with this girl, and I'm pretty sure she gave me the HIV or the AIDS, man. Man, go down there and get you a pill. Like they ain't even working on shit no more. They just patching you along. Cancer is still prevalent everywhere. Like we lose people with cancer left and right. I don't remember cancer being this, thing.
Well, cancer's everywhere now, and turbo cancer, and there's a lot of information coming out about ties to vaccinations, COVID vaccinations, and Dr. Peter McCullough, if you get on X, shares some information about that.
Yeah.
And a lot of negative information coming out about the vaccines and potentially being linked to cancers and turbo cancers.
I got suspicious. Okay, when everybody freaked out when COVID hit, that's one of I watch these facts. It's like top 25 facts. And it's like the top 25 most destructive times in human history. And Corona is on there. COVID 2020 is on there. Like we lived through one of the most destructive times in human history. The economy collapsed. The health, people were dying left and right. And we lived through it. And we walk around like, nothing happened, another day. I remember like yesterday, the mask, and it was just crazy how.
And here's the thing about masks, like when people that wear them, and I get it, hey, have some protection, but from a scientific perspective, they don't work. If you have the M9, the legit mask, sure, that's going to work. I think it's called the M9. But if you have just a normal mask, if you and I were sitting here today and you and I vaped, I would be able to blow my vape through the mask.
Yeah.
Easily. The virus particles are much smaller than the vape. So
and then you know what the thing
it's not working.
The mask thing, like for one, it was the same mask for like weeks. Just hanging on the rearview mirror. Y'all out there probably pretend you didn't. You did. I saw all of you. I worked all the way through COVID, unfortunately. And you would see people come in like the designer masks they got from like the flea market or eBay or wherever, Amazon. And I'm like, this is a virus. Like this is some shit we supposed to be worried about. Like we should probably take this serious. And then got to where it was a joke.
It was all a scam from the get-go. So
I think it was just the flu, like some kind of flu virus that was super aggressive or something. It wasn't like what they played that out to be like, President Trump at the time was, repeat, whatever you call it. It came from China. Like, you mean tell me this virus just said, you know what, fuck America, I'm going to go right there and make everybody else sick. But then the whole country just got infected. I think it was just like the flu virus or some sort.
So, what they're saying is they created it. They created this virus in a lab in China. There's a Wuhan lab that created this virus, and then it was accidentally released.
Wouldn't that be some shit if Trump was right?
If he was what?
If he was dead on, like spot on, because it was so ridiculous. People didn't believe it. And because the messenger, if somebody else would have said that, would we have received it?
Well, so here's the crazy thing about it. The people that were in the know, like, for example, the guy who created the mRNA vaccine is named Dr. Peter McCullough. That's his name. He actually created the vaccine.
Yeah.
You know where he said from the beginning where it came from?
No, what?
Wuhan lab. They knew. But guess what? Well, guess what the government did? Shut him down on social media, shut him down on X. They suspend anybody who was against the narrative on X, on Facebook. All these doctors,
still do it.
They shut them all down. So that way the government could continue on with their whatever plan. And here we are 4 years later.
And that's what I say. Like I tell Michelle this all the time.
It's crazy,
people forget My problem is some stuff I just can't forget. You know, like whatever happened to the murder hornet? You remember that shit? People were terrified of hornets.
Yeah, I remember that.
And police brutality. The cops just all of a sudden be like, you know what? Y'all called us. We're going to stop. We're going to behave ourselves now. But there was some reason at that particular time when the COVID virus and everything launched, everything was distracting. Except, unfortunately for me, I just became disabled. So I had a lot of time to sit and just watch.
And process
what was going on. I'm like, this doesn't make, like the mask thing. I was like, this don't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, and then you remember when they had that plexiglass where you go to the grocery store, but the plexiglass would be right here, and then you'd walk just a step over, and then you'd be like, stick your
I'm
card
fucking 6'4", man, so I'd be like over the place. Like, hey, like, yes. Oh, you want me to go behind? Let me squat down for your convenience. Okay,
yeah,
it is. Here you go.
And then meanwhile, we're touching everything.
Nothing changed,
nothing. Yeah. And then here, I remember seeing, I'm from Illinois, and I of course would follow, my hometown like basketball team or whatever, Rock Falls High School, whatever. And I'd watch. They're playing basketball full court in masks. They would put pictures up in the newspaper of the score of the game, and you would see somebody doing a layup with the mask down here.
Yes.
It was off. It wasn't even on his face. You're just like, we got to be living in
towards the end,
cuckoo land.
Towards the end, I just got to the point where, because again, I was disabled, so I stayed home because they, with autoimmune disease, whatever, you easily get sick.
Yeah.
It's fucking weird because I haven't been sick and apparently, according to doctors and Google, my immune system works too well.
So it's destroying everything.
It's destroying everything. So I never got sick. But I'm watching people freak out about this virus. First of all, I'm like, I know how a virus travels, right? It's not the 6 foot rule. That annoyed me. They act like people just within 6 feet, the virus gonna jump. What about if I'm or if I'm 5 foot 8 inches? Is that too close?
Yeah, they made that all up.
And walking, you in the grocery stores?
Yeah.
Walk this way, walk that way.
All that's but here's the crazy thing. We all followed it.
I didn't.
I did for a little. I was all in for a while, brother. I was all in for a while, and then after a while, I was like, "Oh hell no, this is all a scam."
I remember we were in Hobby Lobby. I'll never forget Michelle's. I got the stupid mask on right here, and there's a lady in front of me, and she's behind. She was right behind me. And she had her mask like right here. So her nose was still exposed. And this is around Christmas time. The lady behind her goes, "Excuse me, you really need to pull that mask up." Because I'm looking at her like, dude, first of all, your card is between you and that lady. The people, like, they have mass hysteria. They stopped thinking rationally.
Absolutely.
About things. I'm like, a virus is going to jump? Like, unless a motherfucker sneeze up my nose with the virus, I'm not concerned.
Well, let's talk about what you just said, because I think this is important. In most people, we talked about the matrix and stepping outside the matrix, right? And once you step out, let's first define what the matrix is.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how I would define it, but I would say it's essentially we were born to believe in this system.
Yes.
We've been institutionalized to believe in our government system. We've been institutionalized to believe in all of the agencies that support our government and just in how society shapes us in general. Just like, okay, I understand. I got to go to work. I got to do this. I got to pay this bill. The government's going to provide certain services for me in terms of protection, yada, yada, yada. Okay, I completely get all of that. But then one day you wake up and you realize, this government's not really in it for me.
Yes.
These agencies, such as the FDA, does not have the people's best interest.
No.
The CDC does not have the people's best interest. The FBI does not have the people's best interest. Pick your agency. Pick one. They're all corrupt.
Yep.
Every single one of them. And it even goes into, so you have this government bureaucracy that is corrupt. And I think most people would agree with that. And then you have them in cahoots with the tech industry. Facebook, We're going to censor Joe because he said this about the mask.
Yeah.
We're going to censor Dr. Peter McCullough, who actually developed the mRNA vaccine, because he's not on board with the narrative that we're trying to preach. We're going to censor all these people. We're going to shut down certain individuals. We're going to shun them. We're even going to deplatform them. And in some cases, we're even going to debank certain people if they don't go along with us. So you've got the tech industry, you've got big pharma, you've got military industrial complex, you got the food industry, all in cahoots with the corrupt government.
Yeah.
And then once you realize that all of this is corrupt and none of this is about the American people, then you've escaped the matrix.
Yeah, when you break the wall.
When you break the wall and you finally realize, but the thing is though, you and I are not the norm. You and I are the rare people. Not that we're any better. It doesn't make us like, Armando and Joe, they've got it all figured out. We're not saying. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is like, hey, look, if you think that your government and these corporations have your best interest at heart, you are a fool. Yes. It is as simple as that. I don't know any other way to say it.
I go with this, motto after a while, because now I'm an adult. When I was a kid, I went with everybody taught me. You told me, whatever your parents told you, that was law.
Yep.
Whatever the people older you taught you was law. But now, and this started, I believe, in my late 30s, where I realized I'm the adult now, and I'm the one that's responsible. But my gut is telling me this is weird or wrong. And so that's what I listened to. And that's when I believe I started breaking away from the matrix. The 9 to 5 was the first one, with the disease. My body knew something's not right with this. Like you're throwing away who you really are. Like I'm reading this book about. I have it on my phone. I'll show it to you, and it's teaching you about who or what I am. It's like I am. Not what do you do? What are your kids? What I am. It's a hard question. It's like, who are you? At the core, fuck all this other stuff. Fuck the money, fuck the women, fuck the clothes, all that is superficial. I am. And it's the hard question when you sit and you go, who am I? And once you learn that, you're like, well, that doesn't match up with, I'm going to go work every day to get, like the movie The Ants. And the movie Ants, like, as long as they continue to follow our rules,
right,
then everything will stay the same. We'll stay fat and healthy. They'll stay skinny and stressed out. But hey, we just can't let them know. You can't let them know there's a different way.
Right.
And I believe, like you said, breaking down the matrix, and when you realize, being an entrepreneur, helps that too, because you start looking at, nobody's controlling what I do. It's all on me. You make the money the way you make the money. You don't have somebody to catch you if you fall. You got to figure this out. Like, I didn't think that hard. I didn't think about life. I didn't think about, I got to make this money. Before, I was just, you got to get up, go to this job, sell this product, get this paycheck every 2 weeks, pay these bills. And that was my life. Like, that's it. I think that's, like you said, most people who are watching this right now are going to say the same thing. That's my life. I spend more time away from my house that I spend all this money on, away from the people that I spend all this money on, all these clothes that I don't even get to wear. They hang up in my closet. But I got to go put this uniform on and go work this job away from everything, away from all that shit. I figured out a way to go, you know what? I wonder if there's a way I can do things I want to do, like spend the time. Because we only get so much time. That's for goddamn sure.
Time is everything.
It's all about your time. They figured out a way to trade your time. For you to give your time away, something you'll never, ever, ever give back. Here, give it away. But I'm going to give you some money in exchange. And then they put a number on that shit. They had the audacity to go $15 an hour. Back then, that was a lot of money. $15 an hour. I'm going to give you $15 an hour of your life's worth. You imagine if the devil came to you and said, hey, give me a number for how much money I can give you, and you give me one day of your life away from your mom, away from your kids, away from everybody. Give me a number. I don't give a fuck what it is. You know, most people go, give me $1 million. So you mean to tell me for one day, you know what? You know how much stuff happens in a day? Mm-hmm. We don't think about it because, you know, we work 9 to 5s and it's like, you got to work and fuck it. But people can die. You might have to go to a funeral that day. You might have to, your kids might get sick that day. You never know. So you should take advantage of every single day because you never know. You never know if you're going to get another one. My best friend, I got him tattooed on my arm. He went to sleep that night. He texted me because I was getting ready to move back to Oregon. I think we went over this one. I was in California, you know, Buff Joe, you know, 240, buff, walking around, living life. But I just hated my surrounding, my guts. It's just the California lifestyle wasn't for me. So I texted my friend at the time. Only friend I really had there. His name was Alonzo. I was like, "Hey, Zo, man, I'm out. I'm going back to Oregon. I'm about to slap the shit out of my dad. Fuck all these people." And he takes me back. He's like, man, you gonna leave me like that? And I'm like, I gotta go. I'm out. I'm going back to Oregon. He died that night.
Wow.
That night. After that text, he died. From what I've heard, because his girls in the room, his twin daughters. From what I've heard, it might have been a seizure because he was real big. He's a big guy. Might have been a seizure. He has sleep apnea too. So. But yeah, he died that night. We were 32, I think. 33. Yeah, that night. Just like that. And I'm like, it's over with.
Right. You never know.
You never know. And guess what? And I was at work when they found out. Guess what? Still got to finish these hours. Still got to. Best friend died.
Yeah, America has become, as to use your ant analogy, we're just worker ants.
We're just worker ants.
And we're just shoveling 50% of our money to our corrupt government. To our corrupt government, so they can send it off to Ukraine and other places, and also the military industrial complex.
How much do we pay in taxes out of your paycheck?
It's got to be. Honestly, I would say if you took
40, 60%?
It's got to be. Well, if you took a look at everything, because here's the thing: you've got not just your paycheck, but you pay
on the shit
sales
you buy.
tax, this tax, that tax, blah blah. So. One thing that doomed America, and I'm going off of memories, I might be wrong, but one thing that doomed America was the 16th Amendment. The 16th Amendment, I believe, was ratified off the top of my head in 1913. That sealed our fate. And that amendment allowed them to tax us for anything.
Damn.
And it's been, and so, right, and legally by law. So, and that when they ratified that, 16th Amendment, it allowed them to tax us. Before then, we did not pay taxes. And oh, by the way, we didn't have a deficit. You know how we paid our bills?
No. How did you pay them?
It was export and import taxes.
Yeah, okay.
So tariffs. Tariffs is how America paid all its bills beforehand. And then in 1913, the Federal Reserve was created, which doomed us as well. And I'm going to do a show on here soon about the financial aspects of all this. But that doomed us as well, and it's been downhill from there. So, and I mean, all of this matters because we're at the last stage of.
Oh yeah, we're at the final balls.
We're at the we're in the ninth inning in strike two, brother.
Yes,
I mean the dollar's collapsing, so it's as strong as possible. But they
like everybody walk around like everything's all
everybody's
good.
Okay.
Everything's good.
Starbucks is here.
Starbucks is here. I can go get my fast food. It ain't gonna bother me. It don't affect me. You know what? And that's how I felt about MS. It don't affect me. You don't give a fuck until it affects you directly, and then it's too late.
Right.
Then it's too late. It's like, what do I do now? Everything's going to change. And the collapse of the dollar, everything's going to have to change.
Yeah, it's definitely fiat currencies eventually do. They either collapse or they dilute to where they essentially become worthless. And at some point the dollar will be doing that. I mean, it already. That's why inflation is what it is. That's why, if you take a look at the demise of America, to me, this is like, until you fix that, you can't fix, this is all just, you're just putting Band-Aids on. Because if the dollar does not increase in value, our lives will never increase. Our lives will never get better unless we make enough money where you are beating the cost of inflation and then stacking it. And once you get to that point, you can stack, and then you got to build your wealth and do all these things, yada, yada, yada. But that's not most people. In most people, six out of 7 people out of 10 are living paycheck to paycheck.
Just trying to make it.
Just trying to make it. And homelessness has increased 18% since last year.
When I was
bananas.
In the hospital, it was looking out the window and there was homeless people everywhere. And I remember this quote he said. He was like, you're one paycheck away from being homeless. I was like, that's true. That's true about most American people. Let your job right now, the paycheck you're expecting to get on this Friday, let them come up to you and be like, hey, we ain't got it. That whatever you make per hour, we just don't have it. There's nothing you can do.
Right.
And you can shit in one hand and wish in the other and see which one feels up first. That kind of control is what terrified me from the 9 to 5. I've always been afraid of the homeless. I've always been afraid of being without a roof. And that comes from this system that we're in. Mm-hmm. But now I'm at the point where I have to go, there's no sense of stressing out about the shit.
Right.
It is what it is.
It is, it's out of your control.
It's out of your
control. Do the best we can.
We're going to ride this roller coaster, but the wheels are off this motherfucker.
Yeah, the wheels are, and I think that's such a great perspective you have. And thank you for bringing that up as well, because you can get caught up in the chaos that is America. You can get caught up in the chaos that is the negativity that's going on in the world today. And you and I have talked about it before, is be the observer. Be the observer of what's going on in the world, but don't live in it. And you see some people living in it, and it destroys them. Like, I'm a Trumpster and MAGA, or I'm a far left liberal, and don't call me these pronouns. Yeah. It's just like, hey, relax, man. Relax.
Chill the fuck out. Like, when did stand-up? I mean, I love stand-up comedy.
It's the best, brother.
When did it have, it has to be censored now?
It's changing.
But it's going back.
I think, again, it's been, I don't know, with Kamala in charge, there's been a push in a certain direction. I'll just be honest with you in terms of censorship. They specifically, there's emails going from Kamala in that presidency, Biden's presidency, straight to Facebook about censorship, specifically censoring certain people about this and that. But I think now that that Trump is coming in, that it is going to go to the other way. I think like Bill Burr is like, I'm now we can start doing comedy again. I think he said there's somebody said that we can start, comedy's making a comeback now because we can actually have real comedy. But here's the thing. No one wants to be offended. Everybody is like, oh my God, I'm offended. Well, guess what? Welcome to life.
Yeah.
So what that you were offended? Big freaking deal. Grow up, deal with your own insecurities and triggers. That's your responsibility. That's your problem. And just deal with it.
I had to learn that because I was easily triggered. But then I realized
it's a process.
Listen, and it's all on you. It's in your head. You're making up these problems. A lot of the shit is throwing it on yourself. The first one, I tell everybody. And it's becoming a thing now. Social media has destroyed people's brain to think independently.
100%.
You have to like or throw a heart. But nobody gives a fuck. You think, how many people ever go and you know what? I'm going to go and think personally every 3,000 people that heard this picture. No, but you stupid motherfuckers do it like lambs.
Yeah.
And it's one of the weird kind of thing when you outside the matrix, like that fly they keep flying around. That's how I see the world. I'm like,
sure.
Like, okay. Ooh, I don't like that. I like that. I might like it. And it's like, why do you have to have an opinion about everything? And if you do, keep it to your goddamn self. Nobody, we don't care. Nobody cares. That's the problem, is everybody thinks that. I've seen on social media. And I'm going to just say it. The Navarre Locals group, oh my God.
Oh my God. It's politics.
I go in it just for fun.
It's crazy, brother.
I'm going to post a picture of a unicorn under a rainbow and just start an argument and be like, okay, I know y'all can find something wrong with this picture. I guarantee you somebody goes, well, you know what? They unicorns probably bisexual or unisexual or whatever. It's and somebody else will go like or thumbs or heart emoji. It's weird that people they feed off of hatred now. And
it's tribalism.
It's tribalism, almost like the Lord of the Flies.
It's part of our DNA. It's like with you and I. It's like let's paint this picture. Let's say there was an island and there's like 100 people there, right?
Yep.
And you and I meet first, right? We hit it off. We're starting to gather our resources, and then maybe we meet 5 other people, and then now we got a little clique. There's 12 of us or so.
Yep.
Things are going okay, forming, storming, norming, performing, the 4 stages of leadership. You build team building, you're going through your stuff.
It's great.
Yeah, we're like, we're men. We did this. And then all of a sudden, God damn, this blue tribe just showed up.
Ooh.
Who are these guys? Like, man, what the hell? He looks weird. He doesn't look like me.
He got a bone in his nose.
Yeah, he's got something, maybe, you and I are minorities.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he's white. Maybe he's white. Maybe he's got a weird color skin to him, right? It's something, right? It's like, yeah, that's what we do. We pick our little tribe. We get, and this is just how we're designed. We're to live in small groups. We're not designed to live in these huge groups. And then all of a sudden, we want to fight each other.
Yes.
It's like, that's just part of it's the human DNA, baby. You gotta love it.
Like, with politics, it's like either or. It's like, can I have an independent idea of how things need to be done? Like, no, you got to pick this person or that person. I'm like, I don't want to pick shit or piss. Like, which one you want? You gonna get shit on? You gonna get pissed on? I don't want either one. I just want to take a bath. No, you can't think like that. It's weird, like how it's so polarized. Everything is polarizing.
It is, and there's almost like 3 tribes now. I feel. Let's break this down a little bit. Yeah. So you got the left, and then you got the right tribe, right?
Yeah, you got them.
And then you got another tribe of people, which is a smaller group, who are kind of like you and I. Yeah. Like, hey, you left and you right people are cray-cray.
And they both, the left and right, think we crazy.
Yeah, and they think, we think they're crazy. They think we're crazy. Yeah. Like, hey, Mondo doesn't wear shoes.
Joe's always high.
Joe's on THC,
all the time.
Yeah, and then that judgment comes, right? Yes. It's like, all these judgment. Oh, I bet you those guys are losers because they think differently from me. And that's like, no, I'm glad I think differently from you. I am not part of the clique. I never really have been because I'm a critical thinker and I think for myself. And that, to me, brings power to me. Mm-hmm. That is authenticity. That is me being genuine. No, I don't follow the Dallas Cowboys like I used to anymore. I don't follow sports like I used to. Those things aren't important to me anymore. What's important to me now is more growth and, meeting people, personal connections, trying to grow something, create something.
Having a good day.
Yeah, because humans are here. We're here to create. Yep. We're not here for all this other stuff that's 9 to 5, and I know all of that is necessary. We got to pay our bills. Yep. Hey, I get it, completely understand that. But at some point, you have, for me, I realized that this is not working for me. I wasn't happy in this kind of environment. You were not happy in your environment. You started to realize, like, hey, look, there's got to be something more to life than being that worker ant. And paying taxes and bills. And it's like, this is what this is supposed to be about?
It started with, it's funny, taxes. It started with that. I'm like, when I had to pay taxes at the end of the year, I'm like, wait, but you took taxes out of my paycheck all year. Yeah, but we ain't taking enough. Like, what, why? Why am I doing this? Like, okay, y'all repaired the road. That damn pothole been there for 2 years. But I done paid enough money to have that pothole and all the potholes on my street replaced. But we don't get to ask those questions.
No, you can't ask those questions because then you're a problem.
Then I'm a problem.
Yeah, you're a problem.
That's why I had to get out.
Yeah, you become the black sheep and, et cetera. And that's the thing is like, and people like yourself worry the flock. Because you don't think like them, because you are different from them, because societal rules don't necessarily apply to you. So Joe's a little different, right? Let's just put him over here and maybe he'll just go away. right? That's how most people think. And in the meanwhile, so they're all you feel all this judgment coming from people, and specifically even down here in the South. I've only been here 4 years, but here's what's baffling. But Joe, we're religious.
Yeah.
We praise our Jesus, Joe, but Mondo's weird. Get out, Mondo. It's like that. Mm-hmm. Honestly, it's just like, let me get this right. You've done some psychedelics and you've explored with THC. Oh, you can't be part of this. And then you start to feel that judgment from the religious community who's supposed to accept all.
You know what is weird though about that islands you were just talking about? This island that we're on, our island.
Let's name it.
Weirdos. Okay, like you said, we're the island of misfit toys.
Yeah, exactly.
But the funny thing about our island compared to those other two islands, we'll be gladly be like, hey, okay, you want to come over? Like one at a time is good. The problem is when you get a bunch of you motherfuckers over from the other islands, you infiltrate our island. Mm-hmm. So we need to figure out a way to pool them one by one and have them come stay at our island to where they can understand that what you're thinking is okay. What that person thinking is okay. Right. That's fine for each one of them individually. Why do you hate them for the way they think?
Right.
That's my thing. It's like we look at the blue island, look at the red island, and go, that's interesting. That's interesting. Okay, we're gonna go smoke some weed and eat some mushrooms and have a good time and love each other and play the banjo, the hippie stuff y'all all talk about. There's a reason they killed off hippie music. There's a reason like most of the mainstream like artists died off because the music still to this day, 40 years later, is still the hits. Like you listen to Jimi Hendrix now.
Oh, absolutely.
Or anything from Jimi Hendrix, the Beatles, anybody who did acid back in the day. Rick James, all that music is classic. And because they were on psychedelics. Absolutely. They saw the world differently. They were the weirdos. They on the island. Look at Prince. Prince was 5 foot, I think 3 or something, in boots with his ass out. He thought differently.
Sure.
And all the people loved him.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a beautiful message. Thank you for sharing. And actually that's a perfect segment. So let's talk about how psychedelics have helped you in handling your health situation with being diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Let's talk about, first of all, how THC has helped you from a pain perspective, and then also go into how psychedelics have helped you from a mental health perspective. And before we go there, just real quick, and really the beauty about a discussion like this is it's genuine, it's authentic, it's raw. We're just being real, just having a great dude conversation. Yeah. And the magical part about this is that for those that do watch is that, this hopefully will let people know that psychedelics is a course that may be beneficial to you.
Yeah.
And I state that for individuals that have never had an experience with ayahuasca or any other type of psychedelic is if you go on Netflix and go and watch the show called Enigma, which is Aaron Rodgers' show. It's a new series. It's episode number 2. Aaron Rodgers flies down to Costa Rica for a ayahuasca experience. And I also have used ayahuasca on a plethora of times, and it is a type of medicine that is ineffable. It's very hard to explain. And I don't want to go into my story. I want to go into your story. But I want to give you an opportunity if you could just go into a little bit how psychedelics have helped you up here to reconnect that mind, body, spirit connection and allow you to, number one, grieve the fact that you have multiple sclerosis. Of course, being diagnosed with that had to be a huge, just a slap in the face for anyone.
Yeah.
So if you could go into that, I'd appreciate it.
Okay. All right. Let's go. We start with cannabis. We'll start with that one. So, it's kind of ironic. I started all of my symptoms. I was working at a dispensary when I love this job. Like it was the best job. You get free, for everybody, you get free cannabis and you get all these gifts and goodies. Love the job. I get to talk with people. I get to introduce people who weren't familiar with cannabis. I used to call my mom all the time and tell her, Mom, I'm a legal drug dealer now. I sell weed to like 80-year-old ladies. They'll come in and had questions, which I love that job because you see somebody come in that looks like me and they're like, okay, he's a young guy. Okay, But my personality was like I walk and just those are my favorite customers. I call them the little blue hairs. You know, like the old white ladies that got the little blue hair.
Yeah.
I love them. Because I love Golden Girls. But yeah, with psychedelics.
That's a great show. That'll put people like, oh yeah, he's an old guy.
I love psychedelics. I love Golden Girl. I got a Golden Girl t-shirt. I love awesome. The Golden Girl.
Who was your favorite?
Blanche. I love Blanche.
Yeah,
Blanche
she was
my
awesome.
favorite. But I mean, also, how can you go wrong with gosh, she's just fast. The
I can't remember
Betty White's character. I can't think of her name, but Betty White.
Oh yeah, the little.
I love it.
She's
just,
awesome.
just naive and just lovable. I mean, the whole cast. But so yeah, with used to smoke cannabis because the back pain was just every day because that's where most of my pain comes from, like core.
But it did help you from a pain perspective.
It did.
And this has all been scientifically proven. THC is extremely beneficial for pain,
Yeah.
CBD as well. Go ahead. I just wanted to, for the audience.
Yeah, and it was like, okay, I'm like everybody else. Man, I smoke weed, yeah, man, this shit real good. So at that point, but then I started, I started working at the dispensary, I started learning the science behind the medicine.
Sure.
And for one, we don't refer to it. It was like, oh, that's weed. People come in all the time. What's the strongest stuff, man? What's going to get me real high? Like the medicine that we would recommend. Because I'm a dude just like you. I just got a job now. I got to be more professional. You know, I got to put my white face on. Like, yeah, welcome. Welcome.
Face.
Yes. All black people got two.
That's hilarious.
All black people got two voices. We have two voices. We have our white voice when we have to be professional for bill collectors and when we go to work. And then we got our black voices. This is my black voice.
Yeah, What do you have like a little bit of a more baritone when you got the black voice? Is it a little bit more deeper pitch?
It's a little bit higher pitch.
Is it really? I would have guessed that.
It's more professional. It's like,
okay.
I used to like if I started the podcast with my more professional white voice, but then it just kind of went off the rails. That was part of the mask I had to wear, and like
sure.
That goes back to the psychedelics and
gotta play that avatar, baby.
Gotta play the avatar. My fucking avatar like broke one day. Like for real, like real shit. I was going to work and I thought it was weed, honestly. I thought it was high shit. And my avatar just went, it was like a little voice. I was going to work at Comcast, clocked in, put my little shirt on and do my stuff. And I was like, and we'll get to like how the psychedelics have helped me with. I was very suicidal before because you feel like a rabbit in a maze that just doesn't end. It's like, why am I doing this every day? I'm wasting my life. Like people dying around me, people leaving. I gotta go to work though. I want to go see my mom. She ain't feeling too good. Well, I gotta go to work. I can't got vacation time, so they ain't gonna get paid. And if I don't go show up, they're gonna fire me. I get that. But my avatar broke one day, man. Like I said, I contemplated, like, if I take this truck and I'm doing 80 miles an hour, and if I just drive in oncoming traffic, it wouldn't be my fault. Technically, it wouldn't be suicide. Technically, it would have killed me. So I guess I'll go to heaven. That's the thoughts I would have. I'm like, I can't think like that. Give me my shit together. Let me get my shit together.
So you're really having to be. If we can go into that a little bit, do you mind? So you're really having some suicidal tendencies, some dark places, dark moments.
And this was before the MS,
before multiple sclerosis. So under a lot of stress,
the stress
from the job. You were managing
life. Yes,
you were managing at sales.
Got to hit that quota.
Got to hit the quota. Pressure from above.
Yep.
In a relationship at that time.
Yep.
Lots of pressure from a relationship.
A little bit. I was stepdad too at the time.
Oh,
yeah, right. Brother. Right. Now it's getting interesting. Now it's getting juicy. Damn. Yeah, there was Uncle Joe with a kid.
That's serious. So
that's before Michelle days.
So let's talk about this. Let's really focus on this because I feel like America. Well, I post a lot on Facebook, and America is in a mental health crisis right now, specifically for men. So men under the age of 30, their suicide rates have increased 40% since 2020.
Yep. And I think like 3 people from my high school class committed suicide or unalived themselves, so we don't get demonetized.
Unalived, right? Yeah. Well, but we won't. We got a long way before we get monetized. But that's the least of my worries. So, but it's funny. Not funny, but it's interesting that you mentioned that because I had my friend neighbor just committed suicide just within last week here in Navarre. So again, we talk about this. It's like, what is going on in America where people are not happy?
No.
And I think it's the rat race. I think that it's social media, it's the rat race, it's having to work multiple jobs, it's the constant dopamine rush. Where am I going next? People are scattered all over the place. It's the food. I saw a report recently that they changed the food at a prison, and the violence went down to healthy, and the violence had gone down 55%. From the food, because food is directly tied. The gut microbiome is tied through the vagus nerve system up to your brain.
Yeah.
One of these days we'll get Joe Rogan money. We can get some real cameras here. But yeah, so back to the prison system. So they changed the diet, and everything improved. It's a testament to what we feed this vessel with. Feeds everything, just everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I cut out. Well, it wasn't I wanted it. It wasn't like I wanted to do it. Sure. I was like, oh man, Burger King burger. Wow, that was my shit. Taco Bell,
yeah.
But again, everybody asks, oh man, I'm sorry, you got MS. I'm sorry. You're so sorry. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I have to look at it and it took me a while, thanks to psychedelics.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So how have psychedelics helped you handle everything that you're going through? How has it really helped you from a mental perspective to be at peace with your diagnosis?
So first one was with cannabis. It helped me go, well, I don't have to hide it anymore. I can, if I want to smoke pot and just relax, and it helped me because I'm a angry, quote unquote, person. I'm like, I would always be quick to pop off, as they say.
I see.
You say something wrong, I'm going to bust you in the mouth. Like that kind of person. In relationships, like I said, I was a stepdad. Having a kid is the test of nerves, man. You got a kid. You just
kid?
Especially a step kid. And I think he was 4. I think 4. Like he was young. So I had to be a real stepdad, like a role model. Mm-hmm. I had to hide any kind of cannabis consumption that I really did. That's fine. That's cool. That's an adult thing to do. Which put me back into my natural state of being, which is no tolerance. I was raised that way. I don't have tolerance for nothing but what you tell. I tell you do something, you better do it. Mm-hmm. I want to hear nothing. I say do it. I want to put my hands on you. That was how I naturally was. But when I would smoke cannabis, I'm like, I found I would take a time to think about it. I'm like, how does that make that person?
It gives you that space, that little bit of buffer just to...
The process.
Right, the process, so you can observe yourself.
Yep.
Observe that mind, like, okay, I can observe myself from a little bit of a distance to realize that, okay, I'm about to have a blow up or a toxic trait is about to go.
Yes.
And I can then manage it and become conscious in that moment instead of just popping off.
You got me that. It gave that, and I didn't think about that. I was just like, oh, I spoke to get high. But when I would get high or whatever, like if I had to go, and I was a functional, quote unquote, pothead.
Sure.
Still went to work every day, all that. It saved a lot of people's ass because I had that time to think about my actions before they happened. Whereas before, like I said, I don't know if this is some kind of diagnosis or some kind of mental condition or whatever they want to put a label on it. But that's how I process things. Anger first. Use your physical attributes. Think about what you did later. What you disrespect me? I'm not going to think about, okay. In traffic, whatever it was. I didn't think about my actions. With cannabis, after a while, because I always jokingly say this shit now. Now I think I have a new gland that just saves the cannabis or cannabinoids in there. And it's like, okay, you're in a stressful situation. Let me release some of that. So you can stop and think about what you're doing. Like, what are your actions going to be? What consequences come with that?
Good job, bro. That's growth. And you should applaud yourself for that. That's true growth to realize, like, okay, I can change.
I can change. And this is like I said, I didn't start smoking until I was 25. Mm-hmm. I was late to the game. All my friends,
me too,
teenagers, were like, oh, we smoke weed. And I'm like, oh, God, I'm going to tell mama. I was that guy. I was the square bear. And then I got to the point where, like I said, as an adult, I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like these actions and the consequences, but I like being, quote unquote, stoned and, lovable and have an open heart and love my dog, love my kid, love my wife. Well, not wife, but girlfriend at the time. She would have been, but the bitch fucked up. Anyway, so it gave me that time to think about, the consequences of actions.
Right.
I didn't evict the guy, but I told the guy, I had a rental property. I told the guy, hey, I gave him 90 days. You got to be out on this day because the people bought the house. They bought the house. They getting the keys. They coming the next day. You got to be out. He smiled. He never had a problem with this guy. He paid rent in cash all the time, on time, every time, no problem. The day I come get to the house, these motherfuckers ain't moved. Nothing. Everything sitting in the house. I go in the house. I'm like, Mitch, man, y'all got to be out, bro. Yeah, this is a 2-story out, 4-bedroom house. Like, you got to be out. The law says we have until sundown to move all our stuff out. I'm like, bro, I told you got to be out by 5 p.m. No, the law said, and it turned into a complete, utter chaos. The cops got involved, but I remember I'm standing on this front porch and I'm trying to physically throw this guy out. Like, you got to get out of my fucking house right now. I'm trying to get this check because they ain't gonna pay you until you get, they get the property. And he was just being disruptive for whatever reason. Never had a problem with him. And before that, I had eaten some medical marijuana gummies. Mm-hmm. And they take a while to kick in. So the first 30 minutes of this scenario, me and him were going back and forth, anger, just pure anger and venom. And I'm like, I'm the landlord. I'm bigger than you. I'm stronger than you. Get out of my house now. I'm going to go get my pew-pew, as they say, and I bet you get to moving then. All right. Well, as we're screaming at this point, my best friend shows up. Thankfully, he's part of the police department. He shows up, so if something goes down, I already know he got my back. All the families come out there looking, they're screaming and shouting. They've called in the hippies started coming out. They had a bongo drum, and they had a ring going in the front yard.
A ring drum.
True story.
A drum circle.
A drum circle. In the front yard. Yeah. And saying, we're not going to go. You're not going to make me leave. I'm like, y'all got to get out of my house. The gummy kicked in. The medical gummy kicks in. And I never forget, me and him were screaming, but it was almost like I had an out-of-body experience. So I saw my body talking to him, pissed off, but there was a squirrel running up and down the light pole behind him. And all I could focus on was that goddamn squirrel. Like, all my anger went away. I was just like, man, that squirrel is really moving. He's really, he doing squirrel things. And I snapped back and I was like, okay, I can't be. What is going to take to get you out of here, man? You gotta get my deposit right now. Fine. Michelle, go get his money. Let's give him his deposit back. He destroyed my house. My house was trashed. But at that point, the cannabis helped me stop and go, well,
I see.
I'm going to make a shitload of money off of this house. I just got to get him out of here. So it's going to take a little bit of money to give him to get out.
Showed you a little bit of a different perspective.
Yeah. Without all the anger and the hustle and bustle and the being going that route. Okay. Cool. Your money be here? Oh, here you go. Go ahead and get your stuff, man. Get out. Just go get out. So it was weird, like how I had time to process from.
That's a great story.
I'm willing to go to prison for this. I'm going to go to jail. I'm going to kill your ass to get out of my house.
But it just puts you in a different mindset just to let things like, okay, let's things calm down a little bit and just try to diffuse the situation. And that's a beautiful story, brother. Thank you for sharing that. And I think a lot of people could resonate with that story that do use cannabis.
And the sad part is that quote unquote 9-to-5 jobs frown upon the use of cannabis. Mm-hmm. You better not, believe it or not, jobs I did have, 80% of the time I was stoned. And guess what? I was one of your best sellers. I was your best performer. Why? Because I was able to process what I got to sell to this customer, this person, not customer. I looked at them as people. How can I win this person over? I had the power to do that because I smoked cannabis. And so I would sit there and I'd be like, I can have a genuine conversation with you, heart to heart. And then if I got to tell you something, because this is my job, I would even tell customers that. I'm like, this is part of my job. At that time, home security system was hard to sell for Comcast. And I would tell people, I would go to work and customer come in, you got to sell it to everybody. And I would go for the nose. I would shoot for the nose. I'm like, let's see how many no's I can get. Well, hi, I don't give a fuck. You tell me no, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But when I had that thought process of to go for the no's instead of yeses every time and getting defeated and sad and giving up, it changed the game. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, oh, you say yes? Oh, well, you know what? The reason you need this is da 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 da. Keep physical contact if it's appropriate. With older women, they would initiate it. A lot of times I sit my hand like this because I know that makes people feel more secure. They feel safer around you. If you extend out your hand so they can see, oh, it's a human being. He's got giant hands. I used to get that all the time. He got giant hands. And then they would touch me on the hand. If you touched my hand, I knew I had you sold.
Gotcha.
That's my job. And honestly, that part of me, I didn't like. I didn't like that about I can do this to people.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of feel like in politics, I'm like, y'all feel good? You can do this to people? Like, you can manipulate people like that? You don't give a damn? You can really... People out here in the streets tearing down buildings and picketing and all for your political beliefs. I'm like, you influence people like that. That for me in sales was the crack. That was the crack. That was the first, some of the cracks in the matrix wall. Like, I can do that. And they teach you in sales school or whatever they call it. You're in a position of power. They believe everything you say because you're in a position of power at Comcast. When they walk through the door, they see you dressed up with your suit, your tie, your shirt, and name tag. You're in a position of power. Whatever you say goes. You can lie to them. They don't care. They're going to believe you. So you just have to be believable. And I was like, oh, I thought that was like cool. And then I realized I could do that shit to people and take their money. I was like, yeah, this is scary.
Yeah, it's definitely a skill set you learn to be a salesperson. And it's about human connection.
Yeah.
And, again, making that connection, eye contact, all that stuff definitely matters. And it's so interesting how just a plant can change your perspective on a specific situation. Let's go into how psychedelics have helped you with more coming to terms with
mushrooms, which I'm new to the game, as far as psychedelic mushrooms, but there's been a few times that I have had them, and I do what's called a hero dose. There's microdosing and there's hero dose. Microdosing is small amounts throughout that week, have a capsule with less than a gram. And you do that once a week. But then there's heroes dose, which is like 3.5, 4 grams or more. And that's what I do. And it has allowed me to step out again. Like this tattoo I got, we was in Arizona. And we're in Arizona and drove by this statue. And I was like, it's all self-made. And I was like, well, that's what I got to be, I guess, because the MS it took away who I was. So I gotta make myself again. So it's an Indian guy, and he's chiseling himself out of stone to rebuild himself, remake himself. So I'm like, that's what I gotta fucking do. But that was on mushrooms. I looked at the statue, and all that came like that. And then right after that, I remember going in this, like my body or whatever, the energy shot into space. I remember floating around in space, looking around, just like, holy shit, I'm in space. This is okay. This is the first time I did mushrooms. And I remember the voice felt like a son behind me, and it was my dad's voice, and he just kept saying, it's going to be okay. That one was, because with psychedelic and mushrooms, they do internal work. I've always had issues with my pop. That's why I left California, because of him. So for him to say that and then the MS shit, like, okay. It's gonna be okay. So
thank you for sharing, brother. I appreciate that. And mushrooms it's deep work. Psilocybin is a powerful psychedelic, and specifically taking larger amounts. And they can be life-changing for people. And they're not for everybody. Psychedelics are a very, very powerful instrument, and it's not a decision that you should make frivolously. You should have a plan, and if you do choose to do psychedelics, do it responsibly and have someone with you. And today in America, I mean, there are places that you can go in Colorado. Psilocybin is legal. I think in the state of Washington, I believe it's legal too. I think in Colorado, they're even allowing. I mean, they call trip sitters and all this stuff, and it truly is a medicine. These are powerful. You do need one. These are powerful psychedelics for you to explore your consciousness and for you to deal with the deepest challenges and the traumas that you have in your life. And it's matter of fact, there is a Joe Rogan episode that just came out yesterday that Joe Rogan said it's probably the most important show he's ever done. And it's with Governor Rick Perry, a former governor in Texas, Republican, and he's with another gentleman. I can't remember his name, but I just watched an hour of it yesterday. And Governor Rick Perry, I believe that's his name. I apologize if I'm wrong, but long story short, he was completely against THC and completely against all psychedelics until, and I haven't heard all the story, until he started to work as a governor of Texas. People came to him and said, look, my son needs help. And she started to tell her story and made a case for why THC should be legalized and other psychedelics and things of that nature. So now Governor Rick Perry has been so taken aback by what these medicines have done for veterans and other people that he has made it his life mission for the rest of his life for psychedelics to be legalized not legalized, but used in a medical facility. So he is spending, he said, the rest of his life working this movement. And there's a very powerful psychedelic that a lot of people don't know about, and very few people have taken it. I have not taken it, but I know of it. And this psychedelic is called ibogaine, and it's the most powerful psychedelic on the planet. It comes from Africa. It's an African root. It's just a root. And somehow they found that it's used for all kinds of depression, anxiety, multiple sclerosis.
Really?
Which is why I was going to bring this up now. And yada, 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 yada. Not for the faint of heart. Very, 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 very powerful. And it usually is I think it's a day ceremony, but you'll need aftercare afterwards. But veterans and other individuals are having to travel to Costa Rica, to Mexico, and other places, Peru, because it's illegal here, of course. Because, who knows why? We won't need to get into that. But anyways, Governor Rick Perry went on Joe Rogan with another gentleman, and they have Stanford studies that support it, but 86% increase in depression, 80-some% increase in anxiety, yada, 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 yada. And so I'd highly encourage you to take a look at it and listen to it. Just came out yesterday. Mm-hmm. Joe Rogan, most important show he says he's ever done.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when there is something that relates to you into a podcast, you tend to pay more attention.
Right.
And like I said, I made a joke about, Phil Cup, go button the baby. But I think I'm a tough dude if I can deal with my MS, and there's people out there worse than me. There's people way worse than me. I'm in MS groups, and I got a friend of mine, he's in a wheelchair. I had a doctor tell me, I'm one step away from a wheelchair. He's like, if you get in a wheelchair, you'll never get out of it.
Don't do it, brother.
I was like, well, it hurts to walk. Well, I'm telling you now, you get in a wheelchair, you're never going to get out. I'm like, well, that's true. If you think about it mentally, you'll just give up. You just be like, well, why I got to try to walk? I got a piece of equipment. It's one thing if I just give up. I just can't give up, even though everybody tell me, like, you shouldn't be doing that. I'm like, I'll wait until the MS tell me. Now, so I'm like, if they have a route that can remove that thought, like, oh, I don't have to think about that or have that issue anymore.
And I'm not smart enough to know all like the science behind it, but essentially it's from what my basic rudimentary understanding of it is, it is a complete reset for your mind. And
it's funny.
it's a reset. So Rick Perry tells the story that this woman came to him and she said her husband was just PTSD, combat vet, was not the man that she married. She did research, how can I help my husband, get better? And I think that's how the story goes. Found a place in Mexico, and I know the name of this place. I'm going to forget it. But anyways, sent him down there. You stay down there for, I think, 5 days or so. It's a whole process with medical staff. You got to do an EKG prior. You have to be on a specific diet, can't be on any medication. Things just like ayahuasca. You cleanse your vessel. Yeah. You want to show Mother Ayahuasca or Ibogaine, which is more of a masculine energy. You want to show this energy that I'm here to do the work. Help me. And I'm going to clear my vessel for you and be as pure as possible for you. Allow this beautiful medicine to come in and help me.
It's funny that you said it resets because we old enough to remember the reset button on the old Nintendos.
Yeah.
And when I close my eyes, I imagine if I can do that, my body just press a reset button.
Yeah.
Is there anything that does that?
And there's according to Governor Rick Perry, again, I just watched it briefly yesterday. According to him, the data shows that brain cognitivity increased a large amount. The brain also seemed younger after they took more images of it at post Ibogaine. The brain, in other words, got younger, not older. Right. Yeah. So this is a very, very, and it's been around for hundreds, thousands of years.
They say the key to everything.
Yeah.
It's on the planet.
Yes. But it's again, illegal. Ayahuasca's helped I don't know how many veterans. Illegal. Psilocybin, federally illegal. It's just, and here's the thing. Why is because you can't put a patent on plants.
No, because
it's just a plant. Right?
No,
it's just a plant.
That way.
So the FDA has not allowed us to use these for who knows what reasons, but I would say it's this. They don't want the current mental health system disrupted because it's working. That you give a pill, 25% of women are on SSRIs. 25%. It has become normalized in America that the average American is on 4 prescription pills.
You know what the creepy thing is?
It is bananas.
If you have insurance with your job, like I did, I got all those pills for free. I didn't pay a dime for it.
They want you, bro. Look, somebody's paying for it. It ain't you, but as long as that company's getting money, they don't care.
And it's like, they keep you here, take these pills.
Yep.
And it was like, when you step out and you look at it, like, they were willing to just patch me up and send me back to work.
Yep.
And an empty vessel. Because that's what I felt like.
It's like the VA. When you go to the VA for help, for mental health help, guess what they do? They're going to try to put you on pills. These pills aren't going to help. There are some reasons for SSRIs and some reasons for this and that. Mm-hmm. But when my therapist is telling me she's been on SSRIs for 20 years, I'm like, for what? Is there at some point, don't you recover?
For real. You're going to take them till you die.
And she looked at me like with deer in the headlights. That is how indoctrinated and programmed people have become, where they believe it's been normalized. Taking these pills daily has become normalized. Yep. And conversations like this are needed to wake people up. And so that's why I'm glad that you're here so we can have this conversation.
I have a friend, and I've asked him because he takes pills every day.
Yep.
2 or 3 a day. And I just asked him, like, how long have you been taking those pills? Oh, I've been taking them for like 15, 20 years.
Yep.
Have they made an improvement on anything? I think if you got to think, that's no.
The answer is no.
That's no. Like, that's why I stopped taking all the pills they gave me. I'm like, it could, so now you're going to leave me with fear. Like, it could get worse. Worse than this? Okay, cool. Well, I'm willing to take that risk if I'm going to keep paying you bastards and taking these pills.
The best thing we can do for ourselves is to manage our own health. And if you're relying on your doctor and you think that they have your best interest at heart, you are sadly mistaken. The third leading cause of death in America is doctor-prescribed treatments and medications.
Oh, they can kill you with the medicine. They even tell you on the commercial.
Yeah.
May cause death, and you be like,
yeah. That's how. That's how normalized this stuff. It's America is crazy. That's how normalized this stuff has become. People just want to pop their pills and go on with their life and thinking everything's okay and just mask everything.
But they don't. That was my thing. Like, okay, I'll take these pills. You should say, hey, you got to take 10 pills, one per day, and in 10 days you're gonna be cured. Then I'll be like, all right, cool. But no, they don't do that. They be like, all right, 10. And you look at the bottom, it says refills. 98? Really? Yeah. Damn.
You have become a subscription for your doctor. In other words, your doctor is receiving a paycheck every month based upon the fact that you are taking a medication from him and prescribed by him. He gets a kickback every single month.
They must do because
no, they do. I know that for a fact. This is a fact that doctors receive compensation and bonuses based on the number of pills they prescribed, and in addition to that, the number of surgeries they perform. So if you are a surgeon and you're performing this many surgeries a month, you get a certain amount of money. But let's just say you had a great month, Joe, and you've got 2 extra surgeries in, you get a bigger bonus.
Yeah, I believe it.
That's the system.
I believe
it is disgusting.
And I was in sales, and it was the same thing. It's like, all right, cool. You never doing enough, and that's the scary part. You did 10 in sales, you got to do 15 next week.
Right. The quota goes up.
15. Oh, you got to do 20. You can do 15, you can do 20. I'm like, does it ever? No, it doesn't. It never ends.
The country's been hijacked by the healthcare system, by the insurance system, by the food industry, by the military-industrial complex. This is not a society for the people. This is a society for the government and big corporations. That's what this country's become.
And they figured out a way to turn the common folk against each other.
And they turned, yep, exactly. And if you mention anything about that, just like I did, you're a conspiracy theorist, and now you're on the outskirts because you're a weird guy, because you're a critical thinker and asking questions.
Yeah, well, I've always been that way.
Absolutely.
Like even as a kid, my grandma used to get on me about, I'd ask questions about the Bible, and she'd be like, just questions I would think doesn't make sense. And she would just berate me, so you never question the Bible.
Yeah.
But why? That was my question. But why? I always was a why kid.
Yeah.
Probably that ain't my nickname. But why?
It's good to be curious, though. It's a skill. It's a trait. It's a beautiful thing. It's a positive thing to be curious. It's not that you're questioning to question. You're questioning because you're curious. Mm-hmm. You want to know the answers. You just want the truth, as most people do. We just want truth. I don't want any of the bullshit, right?
No. It's like, even if it's an ugly truth, tell me the ugly truth. A lot of people, I think, are afraid of the ugly truth. Like,
people are afraid of the truth in general.
That hurts.
Any truth.
Yes. Like when they opened my file up there, like, yeah, Mr. Russell, says here you have multiple sclerosis. No. And this paperwork says so. And the MRI says so. I'm like, that's not true. That's fake news. No, it's real. So I'm like, the ugly truth, sometimes it's ugly, but it's the truth. And you just got to deal with it.
Yeah.
And it's easier to not deal with it or to be mad at it.
Yeah.
And that was my thing with the MS. I always wanted to blame something for it.
Sure.
And I realized through psychedelics, and it helped me realize, it is what it is. You deal with what is. Mm-hmm. And that's why I said my religion has changed from hardcore Baptist to, I really just believe in existence. Like, that light exists, you exist, that exists. Right now, in my realm, this exists. Mm-hmm. What controls it? I have no idea. Right. I don't think I'm meant to. If I was meant to know it, it's my existence. I made it. I would know. So, yeah, just, like the fly on the wall, just flying around and shit, watching what's going on, being amazed and offended, and all the same thing. But I feel no need to be angrily. If anybody should be pissed off at the world, it would be me. If anybody have a reason to just walk around with a chip on their shoulder, ready to pop off, it'll be me. But due to psychedelics, cannabis, and, mushrooms, I don't have that bone. I think people look for it. They want me to be mad. I have people ask me that all the time, like, I remember when you used to play football. I'm like, yeah, I remember that too. I remember I used to go to the club, make everybody dance, do all the moves. I remember that. But now if I had to walk from here to your car, it's going to be a shit show.
Wow. Yeah.
And people expect me to be like, oh, that must be really bad. Must be awful. I'm like, it was. But then I thought about it. I'm like, there's a reason this is my reality. MS is here to teach me something. I just don't know what it is. It's a lesson to everything, the good and the bad.
Yes, sir.
It's a lesson. A lot of people don't want to take the time to learn shit. It's like people don't read books anymore. Like,
yeah.
Or cursive. Like I tried to. Who was that I was talking to? That was Michelle's niece, and I drew something. Like I signed all my paintings in cursive, and she was like, "What does that say?" I'm like, "It's my name." That just looked like scribbling. I'm like, "That's cursive." You can write like it's almost like reading hieroglyphics to kids now.
Right.
I'm like, no, that's how we had to learn how to write.
Yeah. Yeah. Things have changed for sure.
Yeah, everything's an emoji con.
Yeah. Or a meme.
Or a meme. I love a good meme.
Absolutely. Who doesn't? Who doesn't?
But y'all done got out of control with this shit, this social media.
Yeah. All right, sir. Well, thank you very much, man. I appreciate. I want to have you on once a year. Give us an update on your MS and just continue to observe your battle with MS, and just if anything I can do to support you, just please let me know, my friend. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Oh, I'm starting a YouTube channel.
There you go. Go ahead.
So the YouTube is going to be Art Time with GR Designs. Because you know, is one of my gifts that I ignored for many, many years. Why? Because I go to work. But I've always been an artist. I've always been creative. That's been my gift. And with the MS, it took away everything except my creativity and the things I can do with my right hand. My left hand, twitch, shake like a mug. My right hand, I still can paint and do things. So,
and say it one more time.
It's going to be Art Time with JR Designs.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
I'm glad you had me come. I had a lot of stuff to say and get off my chest. So
it's
I'm
good.
Glad you called me.
It's good for you. It's healing, and
it is.
for both of us, for everyone. So to share, this is what America's been missing: authentic, genuine conversations that we don't do that anymore. We're too busy. As a matter of fact, just real quick. Somebody was telling me, like, when the Europeans go out to dinner, it'll be a 3-4 hour affair. They'll sit around and talk for hours.
Yeah, we used to do that.
Americans now, where it's like, we got to go. But that's just crazy pace life that we live. And again,
the family dinner is gone.
It's a family dinner is gone. Everyone's on their phone. It's bananas. So, but all righty, sir. I appreciate you, my friend.